I wasn't really sure who we'd be extending the credit to, or even perhaps where we'd be focusing our ire if things would have gone the other way today. If at any point this game that so often seemed to be balancing on a knife's edge, if it would have fallen the Jaguars' way, how would we have reacted? Well, we'll try to sift through it all today here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. I am Joshua Brisco. Dylan Michaels on the other side of the glass, producing the effort. Covell Hudson also on the production ones and twos here. Chiefs win in the exact type of barn burner be for Charles Omenihu's suspension, and certainly before we knew what Chris Jones's holdout was going to entail. Before all of that, I said, hey, my fun hot take of the preseason is that we're going to be talking about the Chiefs having a top 10 defense by the end of the season. That it might take a little bit of time for the pieces to gel, but I really, I think we're going to see that from this unit that has a defensive backfield that's no longer basically all rookies and Justin Reid. L'Jarius Sneed too, of course, but it's all corners on rookie contracts, literally all of them. And then your two most important safeties being one free agent and one guy on a rookie contract, year two, Brian Cook, who did return after his injury today, so it looks like he'll be okay. Great news there. But you have a defensive line with the addition of George Karlaftis in year two and Felix Udike-Uzomah as a rookie. Situational pass rusher at first. Maybe he's a full-time guy by the end. Mike Dana takes a step every year. Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu. Maybe one of the best linebacking groups in football, depending on, kind of how you're judging that. But what we saw today, and really also what we saw against the Lions, this being a top 10 defense without Charles Omenihu doesn't sound crazy. It was the Colts in week one, who are a flawed team. They're a team in the middle of a rebuild that I think is very firmly pointed in the right direction. I haven't seen what happened with Anthony Richardson going into concussion protocol and getting ruled out. I don't know how serious that was. Just very hard to pay attention to multiple games at once when we're doing, Chiefs stuff in here. They beat the Texans today, though. And beat them. We're beating them pretty handily, especially before Richardson went out, if I saw correctly. But they seem like a team pointing in the right direction. And the version of the Jags offense that we saw against the Colts in week one was special at times, at least. The Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley connection was real. Travis Etienne having a little bit of a coming out moment, that was real. Hey, Zay Jones and Christian Kirk being great secondary, tertiary weapons. Ingram as well. This is a really talented Jags offense. And they, you know what, actually, let's do something special. We're going to play the highlights of every single Jags touchdown today. Dylan, go ahead and hit it. Now let's play them again. 9 points to what I genuinely believe that at the end of the year will be one of the best offenses in football. A young up-and-coming quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, who is currently, I don't even know where the battle would be specifically against Joe Burrow at the moment, who's obviously, he missed all training camp with the calf injury, and it's been really rough sledding through 2 weeks for Cincy. But like I really do believe in what the Jags have. And the Chiefs defense today, with some goal line red zone stands and getting put in a bad position after the fumble by Richie James, the Chiefs defense today looked as legitimate as you could ask it to ever look. And there was some creativity. We talked about that a ton this week, how much of their unique looks against the Lions are what they want to do now full-time and how much of it was working without Chris Jones. I don't have a snap count yet for how many reps Chris Jones actually got, but he was out there, and when he was there, I tended to notice. He looked like a game wrecker in his first game back. Nice to see that he's in good shape and very much ready to go. But what the defense looked like today was the defense that I was envisioning before training camp really got going, or in the very early days of it. A defense with a lot of really good players and one superstar. And I think that is not only just still on the table, I think that's got to be about the expectation. The next couple of weeks might be kind of vanilla because the Chiefs play teams who aren't as good as the Jags or aren't as good as the Lions. Bears, Jets, Vikings, Broncos, Chargers, who are 0-2 now also. And then the Broncos again. They get to Miami and Germany. We might not see Spags' favorite thing until Miami and Germany. Just the way the rest of this will go. They're playing teams with good weapons. The Vikings offense is still good. The Jets still have weapons. It's just their quarterback is, a weapon that should have been recalled. There will be tests, and they will give up a frustrating touchdown to some Chicago Bear, probably. But an absolute headline-making performance from a unit that probably will not actually get the headlines as much as they should. I think I said last week on The Zone, I think one of the Fact or Fiction questions was that the Chiefs' defense would, quote, win them a game this year. I'm not sure if this counts, and I certainly wasn't predicting it just to be in week 2. Because the Chiefs' offense, it broke through on a couple of occasions where you could say that looked like the Chiefs' offense again. They did have some success handing the ball to Isaiah Pacheco and just letting him look like a dude who was playing for blood. He is a blast to watch, man. One of the most fun runners in football. But the Travis Kelce getting back into the mix, there's still a lot of questions about the pass catchers, the young receivers, the chemistry between them and Mahomes. It's not all sunshine and rainbows from this game, certainly. We'll take your calls in a little bit as well and continue to kind of sift through all that. We'll hear from Mahomes and Andy Reid later, see who else the Chiefs bring up to the podium. But I just think it would be doing everyone a disservice and doing the defense a disservice to not start there. Because you could have given me a lot of guesses about how this game was going to go. And I would have gone really far down the list before I would have said, and I bet the Jags don't see the end zone. That really is incredible. So we'll keep an eye on all of that as the world turns. Dylan, everybody good on that side of the glass? Let's take a couple of calls, then we'll dance around a little bit and see where things end up. Again, it's the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. Joshua Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Covell Hudson here with you. Gary up first. Gary leads off. Gary, how you feeling?
Head scratching. Let's just leave it at that. I'm just scratching my head after this game. And I think, let's just say their word for this week should be cleanup.
Yeah. Cleanup
is a great thing. Is what they need to work on this week, particularly Mr. Andy Hack. I think he's got some issues. And if you look at 3 of the signings this offseason through 2 weeks, F-. Richie James, you can find guys that can do what he can do. He doesn't do anything special. There's no wiggle to him. He's not like Dante. I don't understand the fascination with the guy. Yeah, he might make a play here and a play there, but he's not somebody that's going to make a difference. Juwan Taylor, all you can say about him, you just scratch your head because he killed a potential touchdown drive. all on his own. And I think the tackles need to start wearing mittens because they can't block anybody. On the one play where Mahomes tried to flip the ball back when he was getting sacked, that was on Donovan Smith. He stood there the whole time watching it happen. If he's going to do that, we'll buy him a ticket. But the tackles are going to be a problem going forward. And I know it's only 2 weeks, but all you can say is it's going to be on those two guys the rest of the way because I think they're going to hinder the offense a lot, and you're going to have to overcome those two tackles week after week. And who would have thought we would say that? And looking back on it, Andrew Wiley at 3 years, $24 million is looking pretty good right now over what we're getting for 2 weeks. And I don't think it's going to be any better, but you're paying triple what you would have been paying him. So it's the three free agent signings, three of those signings this offseason, they look horrible already. And there's no help coming on the horizon to improve those positions. So Andy Heck's going to have to step up and either give those guys mittens or he's going to have to break their fingers or something because the holding is going to get ridiculous as we go on. And Juwan Taylor didn't learn how to line up apparently this week, knowing he had a target on his back. Mm-hmm. But their word for the week should be cleanup. And also, I know you've touched on it, a defensive game ball should go to the sideline because that was a big help today looking at this. But I do like what I'm seeing defensively. Chris Jones, guy didn't have a training camp. He looked like he didn't miss a beat. And George Karlaftis had a good game defensively. I thought he played a good game. And I think the game plan did a pretty good job of taking Calvin Ridley out because he was relatively quiet today. I'll hang up on this. Great show, Josh.
Appreciate it, Gary. Good points there across the board, I think, because we will talk more about the tackles. I want to talk more about Juwan Taylor a little more in depth today also because that's obviously a huge story out of this. Getting benched, apparently, for the couple of plays to end a drive, comes back after that. Again, I just want to unpack that in full. I want to take a few more calls before we get there. We will spend some time on the tackles. Good shouts for Karlaftis in addition to Chris Jones. And hey, I'm going to go ahead and take the little sort of tongue-in-cheek note of the Chiefs' 12th defender having a huge game today, being that boundary line. That's also, I think, part of it where Calvin Ridley taken out of this game because he had, did he have 2 near touchdowns that would have been his? Because of the back line, or was it just the sideline one was the penalty on Snead? Point being, though, accurately, the Chiefs used the boundary to their advantage, something that it drives me crazy when teams don't do that, and game ball to the sidelines, and I'm going to say to the coaching point to get Calvin Ridley out of that game, because you're right, Gary, he was quiet. In terms of what I was expecting, at least. I don't know what his final stat line ended up even being. I mention this all the time that I don't really follow the box score as the game goes along, just a lot of moving parts. So sometimes I go, oh wow, Isaiah Pacheco at 12 for 70, but that kind of makes sense because he actually was able to get a chunk play on the ground, which was really exciting. It was good to see that. I like a little explosive, angry run. Calvin Ridley ended with 2 for 32. I mean, that is a hell of a game for this secondary that's mostly made up of second-year players. You also got that absolute stick from Jalen Watson, who didn't play a defensive snap last week. Today you get a couple of highlights from pretty much everybody. Overall, just some really great work there defensively. I will absolutely put a pin in the offensive tackle conversation. We will have that one as we go here as well. But next up is Butch. Butch, you're on 810. How you feeling, man?
Gentlemen. Well, it feels good to say this. How about those Chiefs?
How about them, Butch? Thank goodness. I was afraid I wasn't going to get to hear it from you.
Man, feels good to get into the W column. Look, man, as fans, you know what we do? At times, even in a win, or at least personally, I go through the 7 stages of grief right there looking at games like that. But I can't. They don't ask you how you won at the end of this shit. It's just at the end of this these games. They just, they ask you, did you win? And they did win. So that shouldn't be overlooked here.
Yep.
So a few things, and then I'll get out of here. Look, holding on the offensive line is not a function of your hands. It's a function of your feet. So when your feet aren't moving, like what happened in the cases, again, where Donovan Smith gets beat on his inside shoulder, again, for another critical holding penalty, and Juwan Taylor as well, that's a function of them being able to see what the protection is going to be, have the right call. Okay, who's going to be in my zone if it's a zone block, or if I'm manning up, How do I get it from my inside shoulder out? And then your feet have to go with where your mind tells you to go. So when that's off, you're going to have holding penalties against these freaks of nature that exist on these defensive lines in the NFL. You saw a couple of them against the Jacksonville Jaguars and Travon Walker and Josh Allen. That was never going to be a secret. Do they have time to clean it up? Yes. Do I think they will? Yes. You have to go through the games. You get it in practice, but you have to go through these game reps so that you understand what needs to change pre-snap and post-snap to make your play better. So there's that. That's my spill on the offensive tackle. Second part, like you mentioned on defense, guys, this word gets thrown around a lot. Elite. And right now, this pass defense has been close to that. They're in passing lanes. They did what the Colts were not able to do, which was challenge those wide receivers at the line of scrimmage with their size. Guys like Joshua Williams, L'Jarius Sneed, they got beat a couple times. But after that defensive pass interference, which I still think was a bad call on Justin Reid in the second half, they could have very easily given up a touchdown. They stacked it up, right? Second, third level, they stacked it up against a team that's going to go out there and they're on offense. They're going to rip a couple of defenses in the NFL. You held them down like that. Look, savor the flavor on this. These aren't easy to come by, and it's not. It was a physical win. They got in people's faces. And next week, when they come back and they do it again, when the defense is even better and the offense plays even better, then we'll start seeing what this team could be. We can see towards the horizon of how good they're going to be. And shout out to the Bengals for going 0-2.
Thanks, Butch. Appreciate it. Also, I think fair to say, in terms of, again, these games not being easy, this one mattered, too. That was sort of the underrated storyline for my money in this game, was that if the Jags won, they were going to be there in one seed contention in the AFC, along potentially the Dolphins and some of the other teams that started off 1-0. They were going to have a real leg up if they got this game over the Chiefs, and they would have been starting 0-2, which I think the Chiefs would have won the division still if they would have gone 0-2 to start the year. But this is a game that in a lot of ways you got to escape with a victory, and the Chiefs did it in large part with some good performances from places they were expecting good performances. Take at least one more call here, sneak one in, and then we'll probably take a timeout. We'll eventually hear from everybody at the podium live from Jacksonville. But next up, we'll go to Clay on Sports Radio 810. Clay, how you feeling?
Feeling really good. Calling in from Bethesda, Maryland. Moved out here a few years ago, and it's hard to find Chiefs fans every once in a while. But want to give a shout-out to Chiefs Kingdom. We showed out fan-wise and attendance in Jacksonville.
Very much so. It looked like a college neutral site game.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. Also, want to give a shout-out to my son. It's his first Chiefs win. He's 4 months old, so...
Nice. What did he think about what do you think about the false starting?
Dude, he was moaning and groaning like you wouldn't believe. Like we all felt the same way. It was tough to watch. Thirdly, Chris Jones, great game today, but dude, you need to get the same agents that Juwan Taylor had. And lastly, before I go, I want to give my game ball to the entire secondary. They played incredible today. I'm really excited about how they look this year. And, despite the receiving corps being a little shaky, our secondary looks awesome. Thanks, Josh.
It really did.
What's off the air?
Thanks, Clay. I appreciate it. Hey, congratulations on the new kiddo. And again, if at any point, maybe he feels like he could be ready to I don't know, run some routes out of the slot or something, I'm willing to we're still trying to find a Travis Kelce replacement at tight end for this team. You know what? And Dylan, I'll tell you, I'm keeping an eye on the action there in Jacksonville. Let's hold a holding pattern here real quick, and then just in case somebody shows up there that we can bring it live here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Otherwise, we'll take a timeout and get a few more calls from Kyle and David. You guys hold on line there. You're up first, and we'll continue to unpack all this. I am really interested to see where things go in terms of the offensive tackle discussion that we've already been having. A great line that Chris Jones needs to just get Juwan Taylor's agents. I don't know who Juwan Taylor's agents are, but I tend to agree. I think that's a great call. He was spectacular. He did look like a guy who, it's funny, I'm not going to build an entire thesis out of this, but we talk so much and hear so much about the Andy Reid training camp. And the guy who's looked the best in his debut this year is the guy who missed all of it. Again, I'm not saying this is correlation and causation. I'm not saying that Andy Reid's training camp lost the special touch. I think there are perfectly reasonable explanations for lots of things. Like Chris Jones knew that if he came back and was not immediately productive, he was going to get lambasted, and also would have hurt his incentive-based deal, would have also hurt his next contract, all of that. Chris Jones was very much incentivized to come back in great shape, but still, like football shape, being ready mentally for the speed of the NFL with no ramp up for it, really, that's still very, very impressive. And the rest of the Chiefs, in a lot of ways, have just looked kind of unfocused, kind of sloppy. I'm not sure if Kadarius Toney caught everything that was thrown his way today. He was involved in the offense in the first half, at least, a lot less so as the game went on. Last week, that was Rashee Rice. It was like a lot of planned stuff for him in the first half, and they just kind of ran the offense in the second. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of the MVS, Sky Moore, Justin Watson 3 receiver sets, or MVS, Sky Moore, and you maybe see Richie James out there. There wasn't a lot of attention paid by the offense, to Rashee Rice today. And you saw your spurts from Kadarius Toney, and that was encouraging. But as I think we rightly began today talking about the defense, I don't feel a lot better about the offense than I did after the Lions game. I don't feel worse, and I do feel a little better. That Travis Kelce touchdown was a perfect example of a play that was, the plan A unfolded. Mahomes bought a little bit of time. Kelce leaked his way into the end zone, and then boom, you have a Mahomes-Kelce connection that we're so used to seeing. Having that back in the offense is huge. Also, enormous shout-out to Noah Gray, who did stay involved in the offense, did look good when he got touches, and on that play that was 3rd and 14 or whatever it was, if he goes down on first contact, that's the end of the drive. They are not going for it on 4th down. Instead, he gets it to what? 4th and 2? Yeah, took it from 3rd and 14, gets 12 on that, what could have been a much shorter gain. You got to go for 4th and 2 from the 28. When, back in the old days when it was still 3-0, which went a lot deeper into the game than it felt like it should have. But Noah Gray keeps that drive alive. Mahomes hits Clyde out of the backfield to pick up that first down, and then the Sky Moore touchdown after that. That was before the half. They end up going into the half up by 1 after the defense has a not great moment there in that field goal they snuck in before the half. But it's encouraging to see Noah Gray having the role continue to be substantial with and without Travis Kelce. I think that was kind of the game plan for him this year either way. You just would rather have Kelce out there also. But a Sky Moore touchdown and a big Sky Moore conversion makes me feel better about where the receivers stand. I feel better about how that all came together. I feel solid about some positive steps to build on. But I do not feel as if the Chiefs found their perfect pass-catching rotation today, because this roster of guys who caught passes is still extremely, extremely long. One of them is including Donovan Smith, apparently. I'm surprised to see that did actually show up in the box score. It's illegal touching. They're giving him the reception, though. Giving him a target and a reception. That doesn't feel like it should be allowed, but I'm glad he got the stat line. I would like for the Chiefs offense to feel like it has an easy button again. I think that's kind of the thing I'm hovering around now from this game, where it's vital that you get it done. The defense looks great. The offense has a couple of its big moments. And we're just doing the thing now. We're waiting to hear from the podium to figure out if we're going to take you there next or if it's going to be a minute or whatever. Still no word of what's really happening there. Point being, the easy button of Mahomes to Kelce, not quite as easy as you'd like for it to be. Just yet, his first game back, and he seemed... Kelce got an unsportsmanlike and an unnecessary roughness and punted a football into the stands after a touchdown, which I thought was going to be a penalty also. When was the second unsportsmanlike? Because 2 unsportsmanlike gets you booted, right? He definitely could have ended up with 2 unsportsmanlikes and an unnecessary roughing, or unnecessary roughness. That just hit me. So I'm not 100% sure where he's at or what's going on there. There was some jawing with the Jags late, and a couple of Jags defenders were still trying to keep it spicy, while the Chiefs were mercifully to them kneeling it out on the 2. They could have been running real plays there, and maybe they would have appreciated that more. I don't know. That was all very odd, a weird sequence. But it still wasn't quite easy today for the Chiefs offense. And until that comes back, I'm going to have a little bit of a reservation. Not that it won't ever be good again, just that it's a little wonky. The pieces didn't mesh quite right together, and that seems like a problem. We'll keep an eye on it, though. Let's do this, Dylan. Let's just go ahead and let's call it for ourselves. Let's take a quick timeout so we can come back and then maybe take some calls and figure out what's going on down there in Jacksonville. You know, it's different. It's like it's Florida different, and it's also Jacksonville different. So at some point today in the course of the show, we'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and anybody else who shows up at the podium. We'll break it down and keep discussing all the action. Take your calls. Later, we'll talk to Matt Derrick. That's all here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
You're listening to live postgame coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Trust is a big deal, especially when it comes to your health. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're a man suffering with erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, or other male sexual health issues, there's no better place for you to get treated than Heartland Men's Health. Men trust us because experience and expertise matter. Promenic Partner Practices have treated tens of thousands of men across the nation over the past decade. Our ED treatments are highly effective with success rates well over 90%, and we offer a full range of treatment options that could have you performing like you haven't in years. Plus, if you're like most guys, the low T and growth hormone treatments we offer will give you better sleep, increased energy, improved gains in the gym, and a higher sex drive. This could really change your life. So call us first. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
At Pyramid Roofing, they understand the importance of good communication, integrity, and getting the job done right the first time. This is why they strive to go above and beyond for every customer to perform superior workmanship at a fair price. They are there to build durable roofs and strong relationships, from inspection to complete roof replacement, gutter replacement, leaf gutter guards. Take it from me, they did a great job on my house, and they will do a great job on yours. Pyramid is the only call you need to make, 816-966-1101 or pyramidroofingkc.com.
At Central Bank, we know every journey and spark of inspiration has a starting point. It's practice, persistence, and the support of an entire community. As a proud community banking partner of Sporting KC, Central Bank is there for every step of the journey, because we believe the dreams we pursue together have the greatest impact. And with Sporting Checking and the official Sporting Debit Card, you can be the inspiration. Visit sportingchecking.com or stop by the nearest Central Bank branch to get started. Member FDIC.
This is David Hughes, General Manager at Aristocrat Motors Pre-Owned in Lee Summit, and I want to introduce you to our exclaimer. Others have fine print disclaimers that cost you more. We want to exclaim that the price on the window of our cars is your price. Exclaim that the price online is your price. No fees for having the wrong year trade or not financing with us. It's clean, it's simple, it's the actual price. It's called transparency at Aristocrat Motors, 704 Southeast Oldham Court, or online at aristocratmotorsls.com.
Foley Rental is your locally owned equipment rental store for commercial, industrial, farm, and residential projects with a large fleet of aerial lifts, telehandlers, generators, trench shoring, and temperature control equipment, plus cat skid steers, excavators, loaders, and attachments, all inspected and maintained by over 500 certified technicians, so you stay safe and on schedule. Foley Rental, committed to you from the ground up. Call 855-RENT-FOLEY or visit foleyrental.com.
I'm Dr. Andrew Palmisano, a fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon with Ascentus Healthcare. Ascentus now has orthopedic surgery and sports medicine. Myself and Drs. E.J. Wilkinson and Nick Aberly are available for all of your orthopedic needs. Come see our state-of-the-art clinics during our walk-in hours featuring same-day and next-day appointments, Monday through Friday in Leawood and on Parallel Parkway in Kansas City. Call 913-395-0294, 913-395-0294 to book your appointment at Ascentus Healthcare today.
Join our farm distillery on the hill for their second annual Harvest Fest, Saturday, September 30th. Live music from Derek Stoner, food trucks, fall cocktails, pumpkins, tractors, and baked apple whiskey. Bring the family and kick off the harvest fall season right at Our Farm Distillery in Mound City, Missouri. Visit ourfarmdistilling.com for more information about Harvest Fest and where to purchase their farm-grown spirits. Our Farm Distilling Company, the farmer's spirit from field to finish.
Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day? Pour me in, coach. Find cocktail recipes for every fan at titosvodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
And now a rhythm here for KC. Mahomes swings it for the touchdown. Caught by Moore. Penalty marker at the 4. Mahomes and Moore in celebration mode. Now the officials will come together, and Adrian Hill is going to let us know if it stands.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. During the play, the legal use of a hand to the face, number 32. That penalty declined. The touchdown stands.
And what a difference 10 days make, huh? Sky Moore last week, no catches at all, a couple of drops. Kadarius Toney struggled last week, 1 catch for 1 yard with drops, including a pick six that popped out of his hands. 10 days later, Patrick Mahomes still showing confidence in these guys. They work hard, they come back, and a big play there for Moore.
Certainly good to see Sky Moore get on the board. A couple of big catches from him today. Final stat line, 3 for 70 and a touchdown. That there is our sweet play of the game, brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Introducing Cannoli Thunder Concrete at Andy's Frozen Custard. This Italian stallion of flavors is made with fresh vanilla frozen custard, crispy cannoli shells, sweet cream filling, and chocolate chips. Go to eatandys.com for the location nearest you. It sounds like we may hear from Travis Kelce and Chris Jones in Jacksonville, but also we got some folks on the line right now, and so I'll tell you as we start going through the calls, if at some point I cut you off, put you on hold so we can hear from Jones and Kelce, don't take it personally, but I also don't want to make you wait any longer. So we'll start from the top here with Kyle. Kyle, you're on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, thank you for taking my call, Josh. I hope you and your lovely fiance are doing very well, or your wife now. Doing very well.
We certainly are. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. Hope you're well, too.
Oh, did I lose you?
Nope, I got you.
Okay. First of all, my first point I want to make is, Josh, is our offensive line, our right guard. Gosh, last week I was going to gripe about wide receivers. Now I'm griping about offensive line. Geez, I feel like there's some inconsistencies. So I'm going to make this short and quick. First of all, I think the Chiefs need to, and at practice, they need to start looking at other options. I think either your practice squad or your backup, or who our backup right guard is, I think they need to give him a look to see what he can do, because we cannot have these false starts and holding calls. That's pretty basic. And for the Chiefs to have like 12 or 13 penalties for how many yards? That's got to be cleaned up. So that's my first point. Second point is our wide receivers. I thought they did better today. Justin Watson. Huge shout out to Justin Watson, because he made some catches today. He came in clutch today, and I was very impressed by him to step up today. I don't want to say he's number one or anything, but he's a guy that probably needs to be in there more often, because if he's going to keep making catches like those, I would actually consider Justin Watson being in one of the 3 wide receivers, because he stepped up today. My third point is the secondary that everybody's talked about. I thought Snead and everybody in our linebackers, Nick Bolton, made some good key plays as well. And the defensive line just absolutely stepped up. Karlaftis, Chris Jones, everybody, I thought the defense played a heck of a game, and our offense in the second half, we struggled a little bit in the second half, but when we had our opening drive, when we got the ball starting the second half, and we marched down the field, I felt pretty good after that. So sorry to take so long, but thank you for taking my call, Josh.
That's all right, Kyle. Always happy to hear from you. And, yeah, I don't remember if Trey Smith was penalized today. Totally could have been. It felt like most of the line was. But I certainly think that cleaning things up across the offensive line, I'd be really, really surprised if they did any sort of retooling of that starting five. But there were too many little messes across that unit all day. I'm sure Andy Reid will talk about it. I'm sure it'll be a thing long running throughout this week. But it's certainly an area of concern. They love seeing Justin Watson get snaps, so that he will continue to get plenty of work. But definitely some big moments for him, and obviously that's marred by the fumble. But I thought he asserted himself pretty well today, and ultimately I think that the wide receiver group is going to remain a bit of an open tryout for figuring out who can get their hands on the ball in that unit. Next up here, we're going to go to David. David, you're on Sports Radio 810. What's up, David? David, we got you?
Hello?
Hey, David, we got you now. What's up?
Yes, I'm a long-time listener, but a first-time caller.
Well, thank you, David.
Yes. I think you're supposed to say welcome aboard.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Normally, you would say welcome aboard.
Well, welcome aboard, David. I'm sorry. We got a lot of moving parts back here today, I missed that from you.
So I understand. So here's my comment. Kelce is obviously a very talented player, but he's got to get control of himself. He could have cost us this game with all his stupid penalties. A personal foul for unsportsmanlike conduct, and then trying to act macho later in the game and getting into that tiff with the player after the play was over. Thank goodness the play was over and it was a dead spot foul. That could have really cost us. So I just hope that Andy Reid will try and get control of his players, including Kelce.
Yeah, David, I appreciate the call. And look, you're at. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, if Kelce ends up with 2 personal fouls, it could have 2 unsportsmanlikes or whatever it would have been. That can lead to an ejection. So he almost had a trifecta today. And again, David, welcome aboard and appreciate the call and the long time listening for sure. Because I imagine if we do hear from Kelce at the podium today, which sounds like the rumor at the moment, I think we will hear several questions along those lines that will be worth sorting out because I was surprised to see him in so many ways have some of the earlier year Kelce penalties that showed up today, and that's also after a long training camp of having some little tussles as well. Let's go back to the phones here real quick and get in Gordon. Gordon, you're on Sports Radio 810 WHB. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. Good day for the Chiefs. Chargers lost. Raiders lost. So we're tied for the division. So good day for the Chiefs.
It is. It is indeed.
I wanted to come and defend Juwan Taylor a little bit. The calls for benching him are kind of crazy to me. The holding is not good. But the rest of the flags, let's be honest, like it's stuff he's done his whole career, and he's getting flagged for those things now because he plays for a team that people actually watch. That's why the league's addressing it. I feel like I obviously haven't watched the tape, but I feel like he was holding up pretty well over there, but penalties aside. So I wanted to come defend him a little bit. Yeah. Give him it takes more than a week to adjust something you've done your whole career.
Yep.
So, I was real happy with the win. To lose, to be -2 in turnovers, to have 12 penalties and still win on the road against a playoff team, that's pretty good. So
yeah.
I'll listen off the air. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely, Gordon. Thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. And I agree with you on a few of those things. I'm going to go ahead and just string you over to Zach also, because I know Zach would like to talk about Juwan Taylor as well. Zach, you're on Sports Radio 810.
Yeah, so I actually figured out why Evan Ingram didn't get the penalty for just completely bear-hugging Cook. And hopefully he'll be okay, but injuring him on that play. It turns out his name isn't Juwan Taylor. That was why he didn't play. But, like, seriously, Juwan's a pro. He should be an all-pro. He's going to clean that up, no problem. Everybody, at least people that watch the NFL, people that watched the Chiefs last year in the playoffs, saw how dominant he was at right tackle. I don't think that's going to be a problem. He's worth the money. He'll figure it out. Turns out, Andy Heck, he's pretty good at coaching offensive line. Yeah. It's not your fault when the refs decide, hey, we are only going to watch you the entire game, and if you ever do something that could even be construed as a penalty, we're going to throw it on you. So are they going to do that every game? No. That's the only time in my 30 years of watching NFL football that I've seen some referee crew pinpoint one single player for an entire game. That was ridiculous. And when you're throwing a penalty on Kelce for taking his helmet off, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. That was an anomaly. It's not going to be all season. The Chiefs were one of the least penalized teams all year. So it seems like there's a lot of Debbie Downers, and I kind of came in a little bit late. But, guys, chill out. When was the last time that we saw a defense hold an extremely good offense to 0 touchdowns?
Yeah.
That was incredible. Like, can do this all year. They are going to coast to the Super Bowl. So Mahomes is going to figure it out. Kelce's going to figure it out. That offensive line looks really, really good if the referees aren't throwing flags every single play. We're going to be fine. That's it. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, Zach. So here's 100% story of this game is the defense holding a really good Jags offense to no touchdowns. Absolutely. Another good point on the Kelce penalty. I thought Kelce was going to get, and would have deserved, a penalty for punting the ball into the stands after the touchdown. That's just something that I feel like has been a penalty for as long as I've been watching football. I'm glad it wasn't one, but that would have been earned. The helmet thing was silly. Like, he unbuckles his snaps aggressively on his helmet, and then I guess took his helmet off when he got close to the sidelines but wasn't fully there yet. It was not a take off your helmet to get in someone else's face kind of thing. And on the replay, as far as they got in the replay, as he was walking to the sidelines, his helmet was still fully on his head. That one felt super, super nitpicky. And to the Juwan Taylor point, I told you I was going to talk about it a little bit, and then I made you wait too long. I said this week on The Zone, you're not going to see those things called when you've got a handful of old men with their naked eyes on the field at field level watching 50 things at a time. You're never going to have a ref who is just the eagle eye on a right tackle for things like alignment, holding, just waiting for this dude to make a mistake because it was a point of emphasis. Until you send out a memo that says, hey, keep an eye on this specific thing this week. Every time in the NFL when there is a, quote, point of emphasis, it is emphasized, it is overemphasized, and then eventually it kind of settles back into a reasonable place. I think one or two of Juwan Taylor's penalties today was actually a penalty. At least that second hold was absolutely not. He and the defender went to the ground. He didn't tackle him to the ground. And I really do think there's something about highlighting this specific issue, this specific thing the NFL wanted to crack down on because it was all over the place on Thursday night. And then this Thursday, Lane Johnson does it all day and nobody ever says anything. I think tonight will be today, and that performance and that level of emphasis on Juwan Taylor, that will be the anomaly, as opposed to, this is just what life with Juwan Taylor is going to be like. I really do think that is hey, this is an overreach, and it will get better from here, not this is the new normal. And at some point, with the Chiefs just yanking him off the field for the last few plays of that drive, I think it was, hey, man, we're in a spiral situation right now. We'll get you out of there. We're going to go let Prince Teguinogo go get his little typewriter feet chugging along for a little bit. He looked aggressive in space. It looked pretty good. Winogo, by the way, the only tackle active, the only swing tackle active. Wanya Morris and Lucas Niang were both healthy scratches today. Really, really interesting. Dylan, I know we need to take a break soon, but I also don't know how long it's going to be before we hear from Travis Kelce and and Chris Jones potentially. I don't know if are you hearing what's going on there at the podium in Jacksonville? It looks like there's some chatter.
I'm seeing our very own friend Adam Teicher a lot, but I'm not seeing any.
No, I see that. Have you heard anything? Do you have your ear to the ground?
No, I do have the ear to the ground and haven't heard anything.
Okay. Well.
Oh, here comes, as we speak, Travis Kelce.
All right.
El Travador.
El Travador sauntering up to the podium. Let's hear from Travis Kelce after his first game back.
We're moving forward, man. I'll take a dub any way we can get it, baby. That's that.
Pat said that he didn't know if you were going to be able to play this week. How iffy was it?
I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. It wasn't. It is what it is, man. I was out there flying around. Wish I could have helped my team out a little bit more than I did, but like I said, man, we came out of Jacksonville with a win, man. I mean, it was a routine play. Got caught in a bad position. Just got to be more fundamentally sound, I guess, and just make sure that before practice or throughout the week, just make sure everything's firing so that I don't put myself in a position like that. Initially, yeah, I was like, what the heck happened? And hopefully there's nothing like severe. But once I started working out with the training staff, doing a lot of the rehab, just put full trust in the medical staff that we have here, and sure enough, I was able to get out there and help.
How much of an issue was it for you today?
I'm not going to say it was an issue at all. You know, everything that you saw out there was 100% what I could give, and hopefully next week we get even better from it. Yeah, I mean they got a great defensive coordinator. You get down to the red zone, they really make you find voids in the zones. And with that being said, I knew once Pat kind of broke contain where a soft spot was going to be, and yeah.
So you saw how jovial you were with Chris throughout the week leading up to the game. Just what does it mean to have him back? What was a week like with him? And is this just another?
It's just an interesting scenario, man. And I just wanted to make sure he felt that, you know what I mean, he's every part of this from the jump that he's always been. I love that guy. You know, sometimes contracts and things like that can kind of get in the way of, or at least the media can portray somebody to be somebody that they're not and things like that. So I just wanted to make sure that he knew that we were happy as hell to get him back out there on the field and in the building, and just his energy is needed, man.
What do you think of his performance today?
Looked like the 9-5 that I know.
It looked like there was some frustration level with how things were going offensively in the first half. How do you sort of balance patience in week 2 versus urgency, and then you need to clean up the mistakes?
Still early in the season, and what you guys just saw is the second game, bringing all the new pieces together, and we're going to keep building. We keep growing. I know we got a great leadership, but right now, hats off to the defense, the way they're playing and keeping us in games. We love them for it, and we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot on offense.
All right, thank you.
All right, there's Travis Kelce, a very abbreviated version, not his speeding up, just like a little housekeeping. Just got Chiefs PR in the back corner, just do the little speed up motion, trying to hustle everybody through. Would love to hear. I'm not even trying to get them to ask about the Taylor Swift stuff. I don't think you need to ask about that post game. That's fine. Would love to know more about all of the penalties and all of the rustling and all of the chatter with the Jags players and all of that. But the Chiefs trying to get on that plane and get out of Jacksonville, I guess, man. All right. So I imagine we'll hear from Chris Jones probably here very, very shortly, I would think, as they appear to be in a hurry, although it's been a slow process getting to the podium, but a very quick one once they get there. They are leisurely getting to the podium, and then literally during the first question, telling the reporters to speed it up. So I thought we were going to just go, boom, here's Chris Jones. But we're not yet. So as far as I could figure, Travis Kelce could still be talking right now. Maybe he had another interview to hit. We'll find out. No immediate sign of Chris Jones, so he could sneak in a call. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I'm not seeing any movement. And Dan's been waiting the longest. Dan, I know you have some of the most efficient takes in the game, Dan. Go ahead and bridge us from Travis Kelce to Chris Jones. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, Joshua, how you doing? I just got off. I wouldn't see it at the power line. Just on the big scene. The offense did just enough to win, and the defense was playing real good today. Chris Jones, a super game. He got to clean some stuff up. Yeah, Kadarius started so sloppy on that handoff, but they'll get cleaned up, Joshua. Let's take care of the Bears. Take care of yourself.
Dan, I appreciate you every week, my friend. Thank you for listening, for calling in. And, yeah, it's the Bears next, which... Dylan, do you know what the final score that one ended up being? I'm genuinely asking. I don't have, the scoreboard up in front of me.
It was, and I'm just guessing, it was 27-17.
Yeah, 27-17. That is at the hands of the vaunted Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, look, as long as you got Tom Brady, I actually kind of like Baker Mayfield still. I don't know why. I can't quit him. I'd love to give you an update on the postgame or on the press situation. We will hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes later on in the show. I can promise you that. I'm just confused. And I know really it's my job also. Maybe if I'm quarterbacking this, I got to get the show on time. And right now we got to delay a game on the commercial breaks. We got to delay a game because Sean from Jersey's been waiting on hold. And I want to get to Sean. But I know as soon as you go to Sean, Chris Jones will be there. But I'm watching the pressers and all right, it is dead quiet. Okay, here's Travis Kelce for 90 seconds. We got to get this thing moving. Here's a 5-minute break before we hear from Chris Jones. Maybe for all of 90 seconds. I'm watching the mannerisms of Adam Teicher, trying to figure out when his eyes light up, meaning that there may be more action still on the way. But he's not tipping pitches. Neither the Chiefs. Sean, I'm going to go ahead and come over to you, Sean from Jersey, and hear your thoughts on the Chiefs' win today over the Jags. What's up, Sean?
Yeah, I thought it was an ugly win, but it was a good win. They needed this win. My whole thing was the first quarter was absolutely...
Sean, I apologize. I got to put you on hold real quick because Chris Jones, of course, just showed up. We'll come back to you, Sean. Here's Chris Jones.
For me, it's just another game. No pressure. Most importantly, going out, having fun, enjoying my time back with these guys, and make sure we win the game, however that may be.
You already said you were in shape. Give me your thoughts on how you played throughout the game and whether or not you could go again.
I don't know if I can go again for another 3 weeks, so I'll see you guys in 3 weeks.
Chris, it was pretty hot out there today. How beneficial was your training in Miami to prepare you for that?
The heat didn't bother me. I was well prepared for it, but it was tough. Tough at times at spurts, but yeah, it felt really good. I felt like I was back in Miami.
Chris, what's just the emotions of playing, making an impact?
Same thing as it was when before I left. Is have fun, play hard, and find a way to win.
We'll go Nate, Adam, and then Vahe.
I know you consider yourself a pass rusher specifically, but to rush from the interior and from the edge, just how thrilled are you to get that flexibility with Spags and then obviously prove it on the field?
I think we've been building that ever since last year, since Spags come in. It's more so about communication between us and trust between us, that I know my plays, that I know the defense inside and out, and being comfortable with me being able to get outside. So,
Adam, Chris, you haven't played a real game since the Super Bowl last year. What were your expectations for today coming in?
Absolutely none. I was just happy to play.
No expectations?
Nah.
Last one, Vahe.
Chris, just the sack, the bad pass, and the other ball you got to throw out of bounds. How do those plays feel in a game that was this tight? It mean a lot to you to make that kind of difference?
I mean, that's what I'm here for. For especially plays like that, when my number is called, I try to answer that, and we're just going to continue to pick up where we left off.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
There's Chris Jones live from Jacksonville here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and a hugely impactful presence from him. And good to hear from him at the podium postgame as well. We will go back and hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes later on, but hearing from Travis Kelce and Chris Jones wraps up our locker room report here on Sports Radio 810.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
Before we take our timeout, Sean, I'm coming back to you, my friend. I apologize for cutting you off, but you wouldn't be the only guy who Chris Jones interrupted today. So I hope that makes you feel better.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I don't mind that. But going back to what I was saying, it wasn't a bad win and it wasn't a good win, but we won. But I just want to say in the first half they looked out of sync. They looked sluggish. They looked like how they looked last week. They couldn't get nothing going. Too many offensive penalties. And I just don't think that we ran the ball good enough, which they should have did. And they ended up running the ball a lot more than they did in the second half than they did in the first half.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say about this team, I believe in this defense. This defense is good. This defense is very good to be this young. They're good. And, I mean, hopefully the offense, I mean, same thing last year. We went to Indianapolis. We lost that game. Penalties, turnovers. They turned it around. So I'm just hoping that the offense will pick it up. I know they will. We have, Mahomes at the helm, and we got brand-new receivers. But I think once this offense gels and this defense can play the way they've been playing these past two games, we're in good shape. So, I mean, there's nothing to worry about. We're 1-1. That's all that matters. We won this game. Move on to the next game, and let's get better each week. With that, I'll listen off air and go Chiefs.
Sean, I appreciate it, man. Here's what I'll say. I think you're, first of all, the fact that a great offense, one of the best offenses in football, certainly the best over the last several years, the fact that they just kind of struggle to run the football at times is frustrating for very obvious reasons, but really nice to see that in the second half they were running it better. If you've been a long-time listener, you know that I'm not necessarily the guy that wants to run the ball more, but I do want you to run the ball well when you do, and you've got to be able to run the ball. And even I think that whatever that split was in the first half today, even I was surprised by that. I love watching Isaiah Pacheco run the football. Seeing a little more of that and making your run game a little more diverse, I think, is a big deal, and it's something that we'll hopefully see them continue to tinker with as the year goes on. But, Sean, you mentioned the defense being good at this age, how young it is for still being as good as it is. I think that's a great point. Because really, and this might be my overarching take of the day, I'd rather have it look like this than the inverse. Because if you told me if the Chiefs lost a game in a shootout and then won a game in a 40-34 kind of shootout today, I would have been excited for how good the offense would have been. I might have sounded more excited. It might have been more fun. Your fantasy team would have been better. All of my bets would have been better. But the advantage of these games, of the Chiefs having two games and one win, where the defense is dominant and the offense looks out of sync, is that I believe Patrick Mahomes will get the offense back in sync. If the defense looked terrible the first 2 weeks, I'm not sure I'd still be buying stock in that. Here, though, in this version of this Chiefs team, where the offense is the side of the ball not really carrying its own weight, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen in November, December, January. It's just not going to be the case. I'd be stunned. And right now, if you can manage, enjoy what the defense did today, because it was really, really impressive. In fact, the defense as a whole today, they get the green light. That's the green light presented by Green Light Dispensary. Outstanding customer service, superior product, and continuously voted Missouri's best. Open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Find a location near you today at greenlightdispensary.com. A green light for the entire red-wearing defense today. Very, very well earned. We'll take a break, come back for some more in the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Matt Derrick, three of the best offensive minds in the game, over the course of the rest of the show. Joshua Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Covell Hudson with you here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're listening to live post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
There are few things more wonderful in life than intimacy. But when erectile dysfunction harms intimacy, it can have devastating effects on a relationship. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and I want you to know today that we can treat your ED and give you back the joy of loving without fear again. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. And as a Permenic partner practice, we've successfully treated nearly 100,000 men across the nation. Unlike pop-up wave clinics or online pill pushers, we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations to address your specific medical situation. And our treatments have efficacy rates that are well over 90%, which means if you're like most guys, you won't have to deal with ED anymore. Beyond this, you could even last up to an hour or more and bring the joy of intimacy back to your relationship. So call us. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
I'm not exaggerating when I say this. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. This is SSJ. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are astonishing. Finally, a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today. Call QC Kinetics and see how the latest advances in precision regenerative medicine can attack your pain and bring you lasting relief. Now's the best time to get started. 816-412-6299, located off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics.
Are you looking for a career change? Let Sports Radio 810 help you with your search. Many local companies are hiring right now. Go to 810WHB.com, click on the Community tab, and search Job Connections. Great companies in Kansas City need you right now, and the compensation and benefits packages are excellent. Great companies like Tickets for Less, My Freight World, and Performance Food Service in Lee Summit. Check it out by logging on to 810WHB.com, clicking the Community tab, and searching Job Connections. 810 Job Connections, connecting you with your next career.
Kevin Harlan here. Ann and I loved our new Champion heating and cooling system this past summer.
Our house was always a perfect temperature, and it was so quiet. The humidity control worked like a champion.
And Annie, our energy savings and lower bills came true just like Champion said they would.
Now we're looking forward to keeping our family warm this winter with our Champion Premium Furnace.
Find your local Champion dealer at championhomecomfort.com, and don't forget to ask about their free 10-year parts and labor warranty. Always leading, championhomecomfort.com.
Sports Radio 810 is proud to be Kansas City's home for the National Football League.
65-yard punt return, Kadarius Toney.
From Monday night to Sunday night and every game in between. Keep it right here on your exclusive home for the NFL, the NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl.
It's over. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won Super Bowl 57.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Are you looking for a career change? Let Sports Radio 810 help you with your search. Many local companies are hiring right now. Go to 810WHB.com, click on the Community tab, and search Job Connections. Great companies in Kansas City need you right now, and the compensation and benefits packages are excellent. Great companies like Performance Food Service in Lee Summit and Bickhammer Electric. Check it out by logging on to 810WHB.com, clicking the Community tab, and searching Job Connections. 810 Job Connections, connecting you with your next career.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the Victory Effect, our pledge to drive down vehicle pricing for the city we love. Guess what, KC? It's the Make This the Summer sales event, and large discounts on trucks have returned. Now, until the end of the month, Victory is offering up to $11,000 off list price on all 2023 Ram 1500 Bighorns in stock. That's right, all 2023 Ram Bighorns in stock. These trucks range from nicely equipped to fully loaded. Certain models qualify for 2.9% interest at 72 months in lieu of the factory rebate. By the way, if you're tired of the traditional way of purchasing vehicles and you want a truly transparent dealer who gives you the best deal up front and a dealer that runs the highest Facebook and Google ratings in the Midwest, look nowhere else besides Victory. Come experience true transparency and true relational selling. Visit us at Kansas City's only automotive outlet mall, the Legends Auto Plaza, on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, just east of Nebraska Furniture Mart, or online at victorymotorskc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope, and they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long. And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
And now, try Babbel free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Whether you're looking for automotive, commercial, or residential tinting, Midwest Tinting is the best in Kansas City. This is SSJ. Commercial and residential tinting reduces fading, glare, and provides privacy while maintaining cooler temperatures and even lowering your energy bills. Tinting is the perfect alternative to blinds or shutters in your home or business, so you can maintain the open concept and enjoy all the benefits. With 3 locations in Overland Park, Lee Summit, and Independence, give Midwest Tinting a try today. Call 913-384-COOL to learn more.
Thanks to the Xfinity 10G network, my little brother's friends won't leave our house. When I was their age, internet with basically no interruptions was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Now through September 21st, new customers can get 1.2 gig internet plus unlimited data for just $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires PayPal bill and an auto-pay or stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity internet. After promo, regular supply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
Electing to go for it on 4th and 5. Lawrence is sacked at the 49. Kansas City comes up huge. Chris Jones is officially back for the Chiefs.
That Miami Heat really works for him in working out, doesn't it? For a guy who missed all of training camp. You did mention it earlier, Ian. He said, hey, I missed the guys, but my legs are fresh, and he is proving that to be true. Whatever side he decides to rush in, they're having trouble. Brandon Sheriff, number 68. Ben Barch, number 78, the offensive guards. The center, Luke Fortner, 79. He has been a force in his first game back.
Chris Jones looked like he hadn't missed a beat. He missed a month, but he looked like he hadn't missed a beat. That right there is our defensive play and our defensive player of the game, brought to you by Slagle Fence. Slagle Fence, as Kansas City's preferred fence company, has been serving the KC metro areas for over a decade, offering security and style. Call 816-863-6159 or go to slaglefence.com for your free estimate. Talking defense today, Slagle Fence can hook you up there, much like the Chiefs defense stepped in for the Chiefs today. Really, really tremendous work from the Chiefs defense. I'm trying to see who, somebody brought it up earlier also. Like we've barely mentioned George Karlaftis. I think Gary might have mentioned Furious George off the rip today. But across the board, if we take a second to go in depth at each level of the defense real fast, and again, there's a little bit of a Rorschach test, like an ink blot test for what you want to see with the Chiefs offense. If you want to be worried, hey man, you got plenty to worry about. And I don't mean that sarcastically. Like if you want to be worried about the Chiefs defense, Chiefs offense, you can find a way to do it. Is Sky Moore going to be Juju Smith-Schuster levels of reliable? Or is he going to be 3 catches a game and you hope they're in big moments? Is it going to be MVS doing some more things in the intermediate, which we saw him actually do today, which was kind of cool? Or is he going to be a guy that gets 3 catches a game downfield more often than not and just kind of boom or busts? Is the offensive line a real problem? Is the NFL going to change the way Juwan Taylor plays? Or is this a 1-week overreaction from referees? Is this going to ultimately simmer down? Are the Chiefs going to be able to adjust some of those things? You can look at the ink blot test and you can say, I see an old lady or I see a young woman. I see a duck or I see a rabbit. I think those are technically not Rorschach. They're definitely not Rorschach tests. Those are different optical illusions. But, whatever. I see a butterfly or my parents fighting. That's how the Rorschach test usually works, right? You can see what you want for the offense. But defensively, the Chiefs were really good against the Lions. Remembering that in that game where they gave up 21 points, one of those was a pick six. One of those was at the end of a long drive where they had a stop, and then the Chiefs got punked on a fake punt. Dave Tobe didn't say it quite this specifically, but the esteemed Jason Anderson this week, we were looking at the replay, and this is hard for Jason to say. I know this because of who he is and who it is who's about to get thrown under the bus here. But if Jerick McKinnon's first step is forward instead of backwards on that rep, he's probably stopping that punt short. The Chiefs defense, butterfly effect and all, but the Chiefs defense would have another touchdown taken off their resume for that drive. The game would be different. I don't know that it's a 1-1. The Chiefs just win there, but you know what I mean. The Chiefs defense had one drive where the blood was fully on their hands against the Lions. One touchdown drive. And 0 touchdown drives today. The secondary we've talked about some. All of the starters except for Justin Reid are on rookie contracts. Most of the depth is on rookie contracts. Mike Edwards, who came in when Brian Cook left with his injury, he is not. He's a little bit of a journeyman who's a fine third safety and I think fine to be a guy who steps in for a short absence. If Brian Cook was dealing with a long-term injury, it would be a different story, I think. But your main starters and role players in the secondary are all on rookie contracts, with Justin Reid being not an old safety, but the oldest DB in that group. Guy on a second deal and all of that. The linebackers, where you briefly see Nick Bolton leave. I don't hear my slander. Don't hear this as slander. But the Chiefs are at a spot where Willie Gay at one point looked like he might have been hurt more seriously than he was. Nick Bolton had a while where he looked like he might have been more seriously hurt than he was. Leo Chanel was flying around in some spots that was really cool. By the way, also just a little check-in the AFC because football is weird and fun, and I've got the CBS on my TV in here still. Garrett Wilson, long touchdown from Zach Wilson. The throw wasn't super long, but Garrett Wilson housed it. Sauce Gardner just missed a Dak Prescott pick six. It hit him in both hands. It was over. He cut off a route for CeeDee Lamb. He could not bring it in. The Jets could have been up on the Cowboys right now. Weird stuff's happening in the NFL, but I'm literally learning about it now because as much as we tried to keep an eye on the red zone, it's impossible for me to keep an eye on the rest of football when I'm trying to have like a thought every play during the Chiefs game. And so every once in a while, I just look up and go, "Oh, the Jets, huh?" Or I look up. Let's just find the new one. The Seahawks beat the Lions in overtime? I just learned that. I genuinely, honestly I saw that it went to overtime. Apparently the Seahawks won. So the Lions are 1-1 now. The Chargers are 0-2 because the Titans won in overtime. I did see that one. I did catch that. The Cardinals are up on the Giants 20-0 with Josh Dobbs? I'm sorry, everybody. Are the Giants going to have a pick for Caleb Williams, not be able to take him because they spent too much money on Daniel Jones? Oh, the curse that Brian Daboll would... Oh, poor Mike Kafka. Anyway, back to the Chiefs defense. We saw the linebackers leave for varying points in the game, and I thought, sometimes, hey, Deuce Vaughn just did a front flip for a first down, by the way, for the Cowboys. So that local update there for you, too. Sorry, K-State fans. Just about your weekend. But you saw your depth get challenged at linebacker, and if he is going to get used this way, Drew Tranquill is the best fourth linebacker in football. He might be the best fourth linebacker in the history of football. I don't think he's a fourth linebacker. I think he has a lot more usefulness than that, so I'm being a bit hyperbolic. But they got a great unit there. And then this defensive line today did not activate Keandre Coburn. They did not activate Neil Farrell. Danny Shelton is still on the practice squad. Deuce Vaughn is eating right now. What's going on? That defensive line with one tech on the active roster today, being Derek Nottie, and then Tershawn Wharton and Matt Dickerson out there working around the return of Chris Jones, with Mike Dana being able to kick to the inside, George Karlaftis and Felix Udike-Uzomah being able to be the outside guys when Dana does kick in. We saw a little bit of Malik Herring mixed in. That's a good group. It's a pretty talented group that I think is getting coached just about immaculately right now. You can't ask for anything more from this defensive coaching staff. What they've gotten from the young guys, how good it's looked schematically, the creativity against the Lions, getting Jones back into the fold seamlessly today. Tremendous stretch for the Chiefs defense, which is good because the offense has been a little bit frustrating. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll hear from the orchestrator of that offense. Andy Reid spoke to the media. We'll hear from him when we come back here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
You're listening to live postgame coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here. I've had uneven concrete and cracks in my driveway for years. I always thought it was something that I had to deal with unless I wanted to replace the entire driveway. Well, that's not true. The crew at Polymagic lifted and leveled the uneven concrete in my driveway. In and out in a few hours, the price was a fraction of the cost to replace the driveway. As always, free estimates are available. Give Polymagic a call at 816-765-4800 or visit them at polymagic.net. At the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End All Alzheimer's, walking means so much more. It means fighting for a different future, for families facing the disease today, for treatments. Because when you take part in a Walk to End Alzheimer's, you're not just walking, you're fighting to stop the disease. We're closer than ever, but to get there, we need you. Join us for the world's largest fundraiser to fight the disease. Register today at alzwalkkc.org. That's alzwalkkc.org. I've been talking a lot lately about how much I love the office catering provided by my buddy Bart and his staff from Schlotzsky's. They offer both chilled and toasted sandwich box lunches with Schlotzsky's own chips and freshly baked cookies, but you can also have them prepared and delivered on shareable trays if you want. If you haven't tried Schlotzsky's catering yet, for any of your office events or non-work related get-togethers, including breakfast, because I forgot to mention Schlotzsky's offers Cinnabon too, call my friend Bart or go online at schlotzskys.com. Schlotzsky's, funny name, serious catering.
At Ace, their helpful folks know you've got everyday things you need to take care of around the house. But did you know they can help with your business too? Find all of their locations online at westlakehardware.com. Running your business just got easier with Westlake Commercial. Join Union Broadcasting in thanking local companies that care. Companies That Care is an effort to let you know about local companies giving back to our community.
This is head coach Keith O'Neill of J.C. Harmon High School in proud Kansas City. The game of football paved the way to better education and life for me and for so many others. With the financial help from the D. Pasquale Moore Law Firm, the future of Harmon football is moving into a pure direction of success. Thanks, Mike and the team, for being a company that cares. No X.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here. Let me tell you about my incredible experience with Border Magic. They just installed stunning custom concrete landscape edging around our entire home. Our landscaping now looks like a work of art. This concrete landscaping edging will improve your curb appeal and enhance your property value. I would recommend Border Magic to anyone. Check out images of their work at southkc.bordermagic.com. Border Magic, a perfect cost-effective way to create a gorgeous first impression of your home. Call Border Magic today.
Ready to change your life? Get a smile you'll love to the moon and back. Expert orthodontist Dr. Moon and his friendly team use the latest technology to make your journey fast, precise, and affordable. They invite patients of all ages to experience warm orthodontic care in a family-friendly atmosphere, serving all ages in Olathe and Overland Park while offering the latest technology in orthodontic care. It's Moon Orthodontics. Revolutionize your smile with a free consultation. Visit moonortho.com.
Kansas City, you don't need a reason to order Hickory Smoked Barbecue from Jack Stack. You can order it anytime you want. Just order a carry-out online at jackstackbbq.com/810. That's jackstackbbq.com/810.
Greenlight Dispensary is proud to offer convenient online ordering for those on the go. Anyone 21 and older with any valid state ID can place an order for pickup through greenlightdispensary.com and pick it up at your favorite location's drive-thru or grab-and-go window. Greenlight is known for our knowledgeable budtenders who cater to users of all experience levels, with a large variety of flour, concentrates, edibles, drinks, accessories, and more. Loyalty rewards accumulate with every purchase and can be used for any product in store. So stop by Greenlight Dispensary or go to greenlightdispensary.com today.
This is Matt Beasler, and each season, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City and Sporting KC team up to recognize Blue KC Sporting Samaritans. This is a program that highlights students and teachers who make the Kansas City community a better place to live, work, and play. If you believe someone within the Kansas City education community would be a worthy candidate, please nominate these difference makers by going online to sportingkc.com/bluekc. That's sportingkc.com/bluekc.
Hey Kansas City corporate partners, are you looking for a great local company to provide your apparel? Look no further, it's Jocksnitch. Let Jocksnitch build your company brand. We can design your logo. We can provide polos, quarter zips, backpacks, hats, custom designed t-shirts, and more. Plan ahead for the holidays. We have those unique items that are perfect gifts for your staff, partners in business, and friends. Shop local, buy local at Jocksnitch in Lenexa at the northeast corner of College and Flum, or online at jocksnitch.com.
Have you checked out Creekmore lately? One of the nicest upscale golf courses in Kansas City has a beautiful renovated clubhouse, open to the public each day of the week and breakfast on the weekend. The new patio and bar is a great setting to watch all your favorite sporting events. The patio is also available to host birthday or graduation parties, wedding receptions, or just about any event. For more information or to schedule your next event, give Rick Scott, General Manager, a call at 816-331-2621. The Golf Club at Creekmore. So, your only short drive of the day will be getting there.
They're going to have to run a play, though. There's a 1-second differential. Mahomes on 3rd down and 6. Mahomes stops, floats it up. It is caught wide open. Sky Moore. And Moore will get tackled from behind. You just have to stay patient if you play with Patrick Mahomes.
This is the 2-minute warning.
Eventually, he's going to find you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Magic Man shows up one more time.
Reset the game clock to 1:46.
Now you see him. Now you don't.
The Magic Man, indeed. That's our Magic Mahomes moment, presented by Westlake Hardware. Westlake Commercial, a division of Westlake Ace Hardware, is your local business-to-business supply partner. Their commercial team, dedicated business-to-business website, credit terms, and convenience store locations make it easy. Visit your local Westlake Ace Hardware store or westlakehardware.com/commercial today. It was an up-and-down day. It's been an up-and-down season for both Patrick Mahomes and Sky Moore. Also, a fun stat here on the Chiefs' defense from our own Curtis Seabolt, as he tweeted out a little bit ago. Someone asked him about the performance from the Chiefs' defense over these 2 weeks, as they have now, if you remove the points given up on the pick six, the Chiefs' defense has only allowed 23 points combined in their first 2 games of the year. I expected them to give up 23 points in each of their first 2 games of the year, if I'm being honest. And Curtis did the work and tweeted, by my careful calculations, this is the 10th time that the Chiefs have allowed 23 or fewer points on defense over their first 2 games, and the first time since 2013. Found that kind of interesting. 23 points allowed by the Chiefs defense. And again, I'd argue that they got a stop the other time against the Lions when the special teams ended up letting it up. But, it was 4th and short. They could have just gone for it there. Whatever. Ultimately, though, a great showing in 2 games from the Chiefs defense. But it's time to hear from the man in charge of the offense and the man in charge of everything, of course, Andy Reid. The head coach's press conference is brought to you by Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC and Olathe Kia. Get a worry-free money-back guarantee on new vehicles when you buy from Brogdon. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. Again, that's Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC and Olathe Kia. And, we can also hear someone else. Where we... Did I not have to read it? We could have also heard it. You can hear it if you'd like to also.
Andy Reid's press conference is brought to you by Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC and Olathe Kia. Get a worry-free money-back guarantee on new vehicles when you buy from Brogdon. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com.
There you have it. You got to hear it a couple times over. Appreciate the folks at Robert Brogdon's for being a part of the festivities here. Appreciate Andy Reid for giving the injury update and the opening statement as the Chiefs are victorious over the Jacksonville Jaguars 17-9. An odd score and a road press conference here for Andy Reid.
Kadarius Toney's left foot was bothering him a little bit. We'll check it out. He played most of the plays, so that he was supposed to be in on. And then Justin Watson was dehydrated. Came and got an IV, and then he was going to come back out if it went in overtime. Our guys really sucked it up, for lack of terms. It was hot and humid out there. I'm an offensive guy, but that was a beautiful thing defensively. And offensively, we got to take care of the penalties and the turnovers. But the battle through it shows me a little something, and so we'll get the other stuff fixed as we go. Defensively, great to have Chris Jones back. He was, obviously influenced the game in a positive way for us. McDuffie, nice. I mean, I can go on and on. The guys, I thought on defense just battled. Spags had a phenomenal game plan. His coaches did a great job there. And then offensively, Pacheco the second half. Listen, the offensive line picked it up. Pacheco did a nice job with it after the line picked it up, and we had some good things happen that second half. Pat had a couple nice plays too. So along with the receivers. Anyways, for that time, but the other thing is Doug Peterson has done a great job here for the Jacksonville people in here. So he's got a heck of a football team and very well coached, and they've got a lot of toughness there too. So anyways, with that, time's yours.
The little extra mention there for Doug Peterson is also. No one's asked this question. Nobody called in and mentioned this. I mentioned it earlier in the show too, I guess. But that there from Andy Reid is also why they did not score a touchdown when they could have absolutely ended up winning this game 24-9. It would have looked a little better. Would have sounded like a blowout, even though it didn't feel like much of a blowout. They got it to the 2. It's just as easy to take a knee as it was to hand it off to Isaiah Pacheco. And there's a clear respect. I mean, I'm not leaving anybody out on purpose here. I'm not sure. I feel like there have been a couple of times where the Chiefs have been mildly disrespectful to like an AFC West opponent. Sometimes it's the Raiders, which is always fun. But generally, these are the head coaches that leave Andy Reid to go be head coaches somewhere else. It's hard to imagine how many hours those dudes all spend in the same rooms on the same whiteboards and note cards and watching tape and all. So you can tell, especially as a guy who went to Philly first, 1-1, and is now in Jacksonville, that the relationship there between the Chiefs and Doug Peterson is a good one. Saw Travis Kelce getting in on the conversation pregame with Peterson as well. And, of course, the offensive penalties and the turnovers are they'd be the thing we talked about if the Chiefs lost this game, so we should certainly be talking about it in a win as well. And Andy Reid certainly not stepping away from that. Next up here, he was asked about Chris Jones and then also talked about some of the takeaways from this victory for the Chiefs.
Listen, I figured he'd be able to play about a half a game, and we shuttled him in and out. He did a great job. Listen, now, I mentioned this before. Over the years here, he's learned to keep himself in shape. And so when I saw him out of practice, he was moving around pretty good, and his endurance seemed good. So, I felt comfortable that he would go in and be able to do his thing. Maybe not to that level. That was a heck of a job, though, by him.
Andy, you mentioned that playing through it, battling through it, showed you a little something. Is that continue to your takeaway from today? Obviously, you got a lot to clean up on offense.
Well, my biggest thing I take away is I thought our defense did a nice job. So, and then the offense battled through it and so on. But you had the elements. We all felt it. All you guys felt it. So you have the elements that you got to fight through. And, you're not walking in the park here. It's both teams are battling through some heat and humidity.
And what is that? Is that how you account for really a inordinate number of mistakes?
No, not at all. No, that's not the problem. That wasn't the problem. We just too many procedure penalties, turnovers. We'll get that taken care of. That's not the heat, though. That's us needing to take care of business there.
Interesting. They're talking about all the elements and everything, and also that not being the reason the penalties were happening. I think is a good little, acknowledgement of both sides, where there were a lot of things going on that were challenging the guys, and also you could have been playing that thing on the sun, and that would have been a lot of bad mental errors that the Chiefs made there. For the second week in a row, I imagine the Chiefs will have a pretty intense round of practices this week, and then hopefully they get to put together a clean performance in what I would love to know what the opening line will be next week against the Bears, because the Chiefs have been not quite as impressive as maybe we would have expected, and the Bears have been the furthest thing from impressive the NFL has to offer right now. I haven't watched their game today, obviously, but doesn't seem like it went well. And I bet the Chiefs have a real get-right game, as you say. They've got a D2 team, perhaps, to deal with next week. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Last thing here from Andy Reid, again on the penalties and some of the issues that Juwan Taylor had today.
Well, we normally don't do this, so it got us today. But we're not a big penalty team, and offensively or defense for that matter, we're not a big penalty team, and surely not the turnovers.
How do you want Juwan to respond to his day?
Yeah, so listen, I took him out for a couple. So, you just step back. This is home, not only home, but it's also where he played. And, just step back and let's get you back out there. He had some big blocks down later in the game there. So he did a nice job finishing.
Coach talked about Jones. How was Trav relative to expectations initially? That sort of thing?
Jones or Trav? Trav, yeah. Trav did a good job. He's in pretty good shape. He had a lot of routes in there, so looked like he felt pretty good.
I think it's interesting that Reid says, hey, the penalties and stuff, that's just not who we are. I was trying to find some of the stats from last year, because I feel like the Chiefs were higher than you'd want to be, but I have not been able to verify that. So I might try to answer that one for us in the next break that we take, and I'll come back and try to let you know where the Chiefs did stand at that point last year, because, again, I think it was not ideal, but certainly not what you saw from there today in terms of it being a mess, absolute mess in terms of the penalties. I think that's a reasonable answer, though, on Juwan Taylor. He was the offensive captain coming into this game today, and he said, hey, I pulled him for a few plays there, because, again, it's home for him. It's where his NFL career was up until this year. And then I'm filling in from here. I'm paraphrasing, but the mistakes kept compiling. You were going from a couple of bad plays here or there to hey, man, this is snowballing right now in a bad way. Get out a couple plays. Let's mentally reset. And then it was better after that. Just a really bizarre game for a really good football player. Going to be interesting to see how where that goes from here. But I generally expect that maybe last week it was a lot about how is Kadarius Toney going to bounce back. I think in a lot of ways this week might be about how Juwan Taylor bounces back. But maybe we'll hear from him later on in the week. You'll certainly hear more from us, and you'll hear from Patrick Mahomes next in the Sports Radio 810 WHP Postgame Show.
You're listening to live postgame coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Tito's handmade vodka on game day? Pour me in, coach. From a seat in the stands to the best seat on the couch. Root for your favorite team with your favorite team spirit. No matter who's on your roster, lineup, or lucky jersey, make Tito's your first round bottle pick. Whose house? Tito's house. Find cocktail recipes for every fan at titosvodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Sunday Night Football for Week 2 comes from New England when Bill Belichick's Patriots host the Dolphins, hoping to bounce back from an opening game loss. For Miami, Tua Tagovailoa looked impressive in a Week 1 win over the Chargers, throwing for 466 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ryan Radke and Ross Tucker will have the call of the Dolphins at the Pats on Sunday Night Football.
Your home for Sunday Night Football, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Mondays from 6 to 7 p.m. is the KC Legend Show, hosted by myself, Sterling Holmes, live from Hollywood Casino. This week, my special guest will be former Pro Bowl long snapper and broadcaster Kendall Gammon. Kendall and myself will break down the KC versus Jacksonville game and preview the upcoming Bears game. There is no better place than inside Hollywood Casino to place your bets, featuring 16 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, and 45 HD TVs for viewing the best games. See you Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. at Hollywood Casino.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the Victory Effect, our pledge to drive down vehicle pricing for the city we love. Guess what, KC? It's the Make This the Summer sales event, and large discounts on trucks have returned. Now, until the end of the month, Victory is offering up to $11,000 off list price on all 2023 Ram 1500 Bighorns in stock. That's right, all 2023 Ram Bighorns in stock. These trucks range from nicely equipped to fully loaded. Certain models qualify for 2.9% interest at 72 months in lieu of the factory rebate. By the way, if you're tired of the traditional way of purchasing vehicles and you want a truly transparent dealer who gives you the best deal up front and a dealer that runs the highest Facebook and Google ratings in the Midwest, look nowhere else besides Victory. Come experience true transparency and true relational selling. Visit us at Kansas City's only automotive outlet mall, the Legends Auto Plaza, on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, just east of Nebraska Furniture Mart, or online at victorymotorskc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
Oh, how great it would feel to have your 20-year-old knees, shoulders, hips, and back.
You know, you don't think about your pains when you're in your 20s or 30s, but you wish you could get that body back when you're in your 60s. I think QC did that for me.
For Patrick, it started with a simple phone call to QC Kinetics.
One day I was driving and I just heard the radio and I pulled over and took the number and I called them when I got home.
Maybe that's you, and you're listening right now. Why wait? QC Kinetics Regenerative Treatments uses your body's own natural biologics to heal and restore damaged tissue without invasive surgery or harmful drugs. And as for the results,
my knees are as good as they were when I was in my 20s. I'm really happy with what happened.
For Patrick, it's like QC Kinetics turned back the clock. Now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Hey, but what about your fence? Slagle Fence has you covered. Slagle Fence has the expertise and outstanding service to make sure your fence decision is an easy one. Slagle Fence is your own defense against a handyman that promises the world. The best part of Slagle Fence is they offer competitive prices that won't break the bank. Call Slagle Fence for your free estimate today. Now that's some defense. 816-863-6159 or slaglefence.com.
When it comes to the old roof over your head, experience matters. Since 1992, Pyramid Roofing has delivered high-quality commercial and residential roofing services with the utmost honesty and integrity. They stay on top of industry standards and new developments, ensuring they use the right equipment and top-quality roofing materials for each unique roof installation and repair job. Whether it's your own home or your company's building, Pyramid is the only call you need to make. 816-966-1101 or pyramidroofingkc.com.
Hear exclusive Chiefs coverage every week from the best in the business. Only on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Trent Green, Adam Schefter, Tim Grunhard, Adam Teicher, Matt Derrick, Adam Kaplan, Chef Shadia, Nick Leckie, Gary Barnett, Bill Moss, Mark Bowraker, Stan Weber, Sam McDowell, Seth Kaiser, Blair Kirchhoff, Kevin Harlan, Field Yates, Jesse Newell, Cynthia Freeland, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Third down and 3. Kansas City trying to add to its lead. Kelce, the motion man, low snap. Mahomes moving pocket. Mahomes floats it up. Caught. Touchdown, Travis Kelce. Kelce finds a blank space for the score.
We talked about this in our open, about how Kelce and Mahomes find each other. Watch to the right side of your screen. Kelce with an out move, then he sees Mahomes move, and he finds the open area, knowing that Mahomes will read what he's doing and get him the football. And Travis Kelce back on the field for Kansas City, and Kansas City Kingdom is benefiting.
That right there is our play of the game and honorarily our call of the game for Ian Eagle. It's our play of the game presented by Central Bank of the Midwest. At Central Bank of the Midwest, every customer is a first-round draft pick. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities, member FDIC. If you didn't catch it the first time, a blank space in the end zone for Travis Kelce. I'm not going to assume that everyone in our listening audience is a, total Swiftie or anything, but blank space was a relatively noteworthy Taylor Swift song, as most of them are, because she's a walking economy. And a nice line there from Ian Eagle. But it's time to hear from the guy who throws the passes to Travis Kelce here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. We'll go to our QB press conference presented by Kansas City Acura dealers. As the Chiefs march toward another epic year, visit your Kansas City Acura dealers to score jaw-dropping deals on new and pre-owned Acura models. Plus, get overpaid for your trade. Shop your Kansas City Acura dealer and go Chiefs from your Kansas City Acura dealers. We'll start from the top here with Mahomes. Asked about the overall offense here, the touchdowns he connected on, Travis Kelce on the return. Here's Mahomes talking about the Chiefs offense.
I mean, obviously, too many penalties, too many miscues. But, I mean, there's stuff that we can learn from. Got a lot of zone coverage, just having to find ways to execute our zone, and driving the length of the field. I mean, it's going back to the basics, going back to the fundamentals. But I was telling Ted, if you play bad and win, it's a lot better than playing bad and losing. So I was glad we found a way to get a win at the end of the day. But obviously a lot of stuff that we have to get better at.
Take us through both touchdowns. It seemed like the case of being on the same page with both those guys in this situation.
Yeah, no, just kind of getting to a check there on the first touchdown to Sky, kind of in our 2-minute, getting to the right play. Sky running a great route, making a great play against, what a great corner, honestly. And so just going to the matchup on that one. And then the second one, it's just kind of me and Trav, just kind of doing the scramble drill, working. And Travis does what he's great at that stuff. And so we were able to find him. Wish I would have been able to find him in the third one that I missed him in that corner of the end zone. But like I said, just stuff that we have to get better at, little things. But little things in this league make a big difference, and we have to continue to get better at that stuff.
How nice was it having Travis back?
Yeah, honestly, just the fact that he played, it surprised me, honestly, because that's a scary injury. He didn't look good there for a little bit, but he battled over those extra days. He was in the facility rehabbing, and to get himself out there and able to play, it talks about the competitor that he is and the teammate that he is. And so having him out there not only makes him make plays, but it helps everybody else, gets other guys open. So truly just a great teammate, man. Just even be out there on that field.
Wasn't sure if Kelce would play today. Impressed to see him out there at all. Very glad he was there. Very glad that he had his number one receiver back in the mix, I'm sure. Also nice to see everything else come together the way that it did. Also incredibly nice, I'm sure, as a quarterback to have a defense who steps up the way that it did.
Yeah, defense was incredible. That's a good offense, a really good offense. And for them to shut them down, I think they were like 0 for 4 in the red zone. Some couple critical stops after we turned the ball over. And then when they got critical stops, we went 3 and out a couple times, and they kept holding them to field goals and holding them. That win is the defense won that game. And so we have to continue to get better as an offense, which I think we will. But if that defense plays like that, we're going to be a hard team to beat. That's special. And to answer your second question, Chris, crazy. Just to be able to make that impact on a game after not being in training camp, and you can work out as much as you want off the field. I know this, but to be able to come to Jacksonville where it's hot, humid, and just dominate against a great team, it's special. It truly is special. I'm glad he's on my team.
You see a mid-season to check on, and you feel like he's still got some room to go before he's over his rehab as the player you remember from last year?
No, I think he ran the ball well today. There's stuff here and there we have to get better at as far as, thank you. there's stuff that we have to get better at as far as blocking, me making some mic calls, and executing throughout the entire offense. So I thought whenever it was there, he punched it through there. He made a lot of big runs, and then there at the end, just tough yards. That's stuff that you need in this offense. And as we continue to develop as an offense, I think we'll continue to get the run game going more, and I think it'll open up the rest of the offense.
What do you feel on the 3rd and 6, the Sky?
Yeah, no, they did a good job covering. They kind of ran a coverage where they're kind of doubling Travis, and that was kind of my first read. And then Marquez actually got open first. He got open, and I was going to throw it to him, and the safety kind of drove him really hard. And then I think Sky made his guy fall down there on the other side. So was able to buy enough time and then just get the ball to him. At that point, he was wide open. So get the ball to him, and then he made a great play after the catch, getting downfield, staying in bounds, keeping the clock rolling. And he had a big game today, man. And I was happy for him. I think he'll continue to build, as well as those other receivers. I thought there was a lot of positives with them, and they'll continue to build. And it's a work in progress, but you want to win games. I thought we did a good job of just finding a way to get a win.
It's a little cliche and a little bit true. He said it earlier, an ugly win feels a lot better than an ugly loss. And in this case, it's a lot easier to say, hey, we got some stuff to work on when you're saying it after a victory. Makes it a little easier to return to the lab on that, I imagine. Here, Mahomes asked about some of the issues there that Juwan Taylor was having, penalty-wise across the board. Interested to hear what Patrick Mahomes had to say about the struggles of his right tackle.
I mean, through social media, you knew that some of this was going to get called. But, I mean, he's going to continue to get better and better. They're cracking down on some of the alignment stuff. But we're playing football, man. He'll get closer to the line of scrimmage than I guess everyone else, but he'll get closer so that they don't call it, and we'll continue to work the snap counts and stuff like that. But he's a great player. He'll continue to play, and he'll get comfortable. And it's hard whenever they're kind of getting picked on a little bit to kind of keep playing your game. But I have all the confidence in him in the world.
Last three, Vahe, Nate, and then Derrick.
Andy won number 270. That ties Tom Landry for 4th on the career list. I just wonder what your basic thoughts are of what's happened to be this in the NFL and for you.
Yeah, I didn't know that's awesome. I mean, that truly is awesome. And to be able to do it in 2 different places with a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different quarterbacks, it really is. It's truly remarkable. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, obviously he's a great coach, but I think the person is what makes him so special. The way he's able to relate to everybody. I mean, everybody in this locker room would say the same thing. Y'all know that. And whenever you have a head coach that you can really relate to and knows that he loves you and wants the best for you, you go out there and give everything you have. And I think that's what makes him so special as a coach. I mean, obviously he has the X's and O's, but the person is what makes him special.
Cool there. Win 270 for Andy Reid. I can't remember if Vahe there said passing or tying Tom Landry. Either way, great company to be in there, and good stuff to hear Andy Reid, or to hear Patrick Mahomes discuss his head coach that way. One more for you here from Patrick Mahomes. The feeling at the half for the Chiefs as they also then try to find a little bit of balance offensively. Last couple questions here for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, we just knew. I mean, we're playing a good football team, and when you make mistakes, you're not going to have sustained drives as an offense. We're able to get that last touchdown to get a little bit of momentum, and then a big drive, and that first drive out of half, and getting that touchdown to kind of get the momentum back in our favor. And then the defense got a lot of stops. I mean, it's like I said. I mean, it's hard for us to see, for everyone to see. We've been such a prolific offense for so long, and we started fast. But if you don't execute at a high level in this league, you're not going to have success. You're not going to score touchdowns. You're not going to have sustained drives. And so that's stuff that we have to get better at. We know what we're doing. It's about going out there and executing it, finding the right way to do that as far as run and pass and all that different type of stuff. But I was proud of the guys that they kept fighting. I mean, even at the beginning of last year, I mean, we didn't play as well maybe after the first game that we wanted to. But you have to continue to build and know that the process ahead, that you just continue to stack wins no matter how you get them, and try to play your best football as the season goes on.
I know it's actually said you all ranked over 100 yards, but going into the half, you only had four attempts to get 12 yards. Mm-hmm. Is there a conscious effort, or will there be a conscious effort in the future to kind of have a little bit more balance as you go, when you play throughout the game?
Yeah, I mean, you have to take what's there. We had a couple run plays called, but they heavier boxes up through some of the advantage throws on the outside, the RPO type stuff. I missed some. But that's why I was saying there's some misreads by me. I got to hand the ball in some situations. But, yeah, we're going to get the run game going. I think you saw in the second half it was getting going a little bit better, even those tough 4 or 5 yard carries. I mean, obviously the big one are important. And we'll continue to work that stuff. But, I mean, we have the talent. Offensive line, they have the talent. We have the talent blockers on the outside as well. It's a new offensive line. They have to gel together, to figure it out with the running back. And so I'm excited for it because I know that we can do it. But in order for this offense to take that next step, we're going to have to get it going for sure.
There you have it, Patrick Mahomes right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. We'll take a timeout, come back, and talk to our friend Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest about what we heard from Reid and Mahomes, what we saw from the Kansas City Chiefs, and what he feels about a 17-9 victory for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, a game you're happy to have, a game with some ugliness on the offensive side, and a game with some beauty on the defensive. A lot to unpack. We're going to have a whole week to do it, but we'll start doing that with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest next.
You're listening to live postgame coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
Another summer ending, and maybe you notice this summer that your energy is lower and your workout's not so productive. Perhaps you aren't sleeping as well and feel foggy all the time, and maybe your sex drive is off. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're experiencing some or all of these symptoms, it's likely you have low testosterone. And if that's what's going on with you, don't wait. You need to call us at Heartland Men's Health and get treated for your low T. Because living with low testosterone is no way to live. With our low T treatments, if you're like most guys, your life will change considerably. Improved sleep, better energy, greater gains in the gym, better mental clarity, and your sex drive will likely improve as well. Plus, most men see these results in just a few weeks. So call us. Your initial appointment includes a PSA and T-test and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Each season, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City and Sporting KC team up to recognize Blue KC Sporting Samaritans. This is a program that highlights students and teachers who make the Kansas City community a better place to live, work, and play. If you believe someone within the Kansas City area education community would be a worthy candidate, please nominate these difference makers by going online to sportingkc.com/bluekc. That's sportingkc.com/bluekc.
Join us on Saturday, October 7th for the second annual Carrie's Denim Dash 5K and Fun Run in honor of Carrie Berger. Carrie's Denim Dash is dedicated to helping local teens and young adults receive drug and alcohol treatment who would not be able to afford it otherwise. Last year, the event raised over $50,000, which helped 50 local teens get the proper care they needed. The event will continue after the race with a live raffle, booths from sponsors, and more. Don't forget to wear your denim. To learn more and register to run, visit our website at carriesdenim-org.
Chiefs fans celebrate the World Championship win all season long with the official vodka of the Kansas City Chiefs from J. Rieger & Company. 100% wheat-based and distilled in our copper pot still, this clean, smooth spirit is perfect for Bloody Marys, Moscow Mules, vodka martinis, and all your favorite tailgating and game day Rieger cocktails. Pick up the official vodka of the Kansas City Chiefs, only from J. Rieger & Company, Kansas City's original distillery.
When summer temperatures get extreme, your house needs a Champion premium system that keeps your family comfortable and cool. Go to championhomecomfort.com and don't forget to ask about their free 10-year parts and labor warranty. Always leading, never compromising, championhomecomfort.com.
Hey, Kansas City corporate partners, are you looking for a great local company to provide your apparel? Look no further, it's Jocksnitch. Let Jocksnitch build your company brand. We can design your logo. We can provide polos, quarter zips, backpacks, hats, custom designed t-shirts, and more. Plan ahead for the holidays. We have those unique items that are perfect gifts for your staff, partners in business, and friends. Shop local, buy local at Jocksnitch in Lenexa at the northeast corner of College and Flum, or online at jocksnitch.com.
J. Wolf Acura offers customer experience and expert advice that is second to none. Not to mention their deals on new and used Acura cars and SUVs. J. Wolf Acura with 2 locations, 103rd and State Line in KCMO or 7727 Frontage Road in Overland Park.
Join Our Farm Distillery on the Hill for their second annual Harvest Fest, Saturday, September 30th. Live music from Derek Stoner, food trucks, fall cocktails, pumpkins, tractors, and baked apple whiskey. Bring the family and kick off the harvest fall season right at Our Farm Distillery in Mound City, Missouri. Visit ourfarmdistilling.com for more information about Harvest Fest and where to purchase their farm-grown spirits. Our Farm Distilling Company, the farmer's spirit from field to finish.
Fake it. Lawrence, look out. Trevor Lawrence gets devoured. George Karlaftis driving the train for Kansas City. Loss of 7.
And Jacksonville came out there. Press Taylor ordered up a play from a very tight formation to get everyone condensed. And then they wanted to throw the ball deep downfield. But George Karlaftis able to run through the block by Luke Farrell, number 89, the tight end, and run down Trevor Lawrence.
One of many highlights from the Chiefs defense today, just about as many of those, maybe more of those, than from the Chiefs offense. A weird thing to say, but a good thing to see from that side of the football. No defense necessary when Matt Derrick comes to the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. That happens now. You can read his work at ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow him on, I was going to say Twitter. It's still Twitter, but whatever social media you still frequent, at Matt Derrick. Matt, I really do think we have to start by talking about the defense today, right?
We can. I mean, I'd prefer to talk about the negatives if we could. I mean, I saw a couple of big negatives today.
Is this Gary again? Did Gary call back in?
Can I share my negatives?
I would love to hear your negatives.
Okay. One, Chris Jones after the game was wearing the NFL sideline hat that has the Chiefs logo and the NFL Shield logo.
Yeah.
And that's just unacceptable.
Sure.
I mean, I assumed that people were wearing that hat ironically, but no. And two, if this is, I mean, bless his heart. I mean, he played his guts out. I mean, it really, really did. But I'm done with Travador. I'm done with the stash. The stash can go. I mean, this team could go 17-0 if they have Chris Jones without that hat and with Travis Kelce without the stash.
There are two restrictor plates on the Chiefs right now, and they're Chris Jones's hat and Travis Kelce's mustache.
Pretty much. Yeah, everything else is on point. I mean, this is a defense that's going to take this team as far as it can go, Josh.
As we've said so many times, as has been the mantra of the Kansas City Chiefs since the early days of Checks Notes 2023. You have a teammate on this, by the way. I got this, not a text, but just a tweet, a full-on tweet from my mom, who says, I just have to say, as a mom, fan, and a Chiefs chick, the K-stash has to go. Pretty sure it's bad luck, and it's unattractive. Now, that devastating review, again, coming from my mom on Twitter. I will also note, my conspiracy theory, though, Matt, is that the mustache is having a real cultural moment right now, because whatever is going on with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, he's had the mustache since their reported quiet hangout. So he's had it consistently throughout. So if anything good is coming from that, apparently Taylor Swift hasn't vetoed the mustache.
Well, has there been a second hangout? Because
I don't know.
Maybe that's the reason why.
That's a great point. It is a good point.
I mean, I know people who have strong feelings about Travis. Who have looked at the stash and have said hard pass.
I mean, and I just have to question at that point, do those people have what it takes for El Travador? I mean, you can be. There were lots of people who said the similar thing when he went to the buzz cut. When he went from catching Kelce hair, which is more my speed, to full on, I'm buzzing this thing down. That was also a big style choice for him, and it took some time.
And see, that's what, and I've completely derailed the show here, but see, that's what at least I enjoyed about the Saturday Night Live appearance, because at least people finally came to the party that I thought that, especially during the catching Kelce era, that he had a really, really strong, extra Hemsworth brother feel to him then.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe that is what happened there, because he certainly, at this point, I mean, his superstardom has come with his super short hair. But I think especially you get him back in that American Girl sketch, longer hair. The watching from the corner sketch, even longer hair than that. So this might be, maybe it's time for him to shave the mustache and resume the hair growth. Maybe that's the play.
there's a possibility. I mean, you gentlemen reach a certain age, they just can't grow the hair anymore. So maybe we don't know what's going to look like if he grows it back out.
That's a good. Dylan just pointed to himself when you said that, Matt. So self-awareness is important.
Like my phrase, "gentleman of a certain age," is a very kind way to put it.
That's right. And look, when you have the beard that Dylan has, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the lettuce up top. I think.
I couldn't even describe his hair to you because the rest of it's so solid.
Maybe Travis Kelce just needs to go to like a really full beard. Oh, that's Jason's territory now. That's not gonna work. He's not gonna be the bearded Kelce brother. That's not gonna happen. So
no, he can never out Jason Kelce on that one. No.
Well, so obviously those two negatives pretty much make this a loss for the Chiefs. I mean,
I don't know really why we're talking about handling one of the AFC playoff team on the road in their building and handling them fairly comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, at least the defense looks fairly comfortable. Let's really start there because I don't. It shouldn't be a surprise because of the players on this defense and the coaching staff that gets to make the game plan for this defense. When I thought Charles Omenihu was going to play more than 12 or 13 games, and I guess 12 in this case, and when I didn't know that Chris Jones was going to miss a game, I was early training camp really excited by this idea of, hey, I think the Chiefs are going to have a top 10 defense by the end of the year. Not necessarily for the whole year, but like by the end of the season, this is going to be a fearsome unit in its own right. And 9 points to the Jags in Jacksonville. I was an optimist on some levels with this defense, and I was floored by that.
Yeah, and I mean, I was probably the other way. I mean, I thought that certainly this defense, especially with what they built last year, that it had the potential. I mean, I didn't think that their goals of saying, hey, we want this to be a top 10 defense. I didn't think that those goals were outlandish. Mm-hmm. But, to me it was, okay, well, how is this defense going to look at the end of the season more than how it's going to look early?
Yep.
And especially, with the questions on the defensive line, and, Spags even told us that's a line group that maybe won't know what he's got until 4 weeks into the season. And I was concerned with what we saw in the preseason and with the injuries, that even the secondary might be of that category, the cornerback situation, because you really didn't know what you're going to be getting from L'Jarius Sneed and Jalen Watson and Josh Williams and Nick Jones and on down the list. But thus far, I mean, this defensive group across the board has, I think absolutely met and exceeded expectations. What they were able to do today, I thought was exactly what they needed the game plan to be. You stop Travis Etienne early and force the Jags to become a little bit more one-dimensional, and you put it all on the hands of Trevor Lawrence and force Trevor to beat you. I think that's the way you go about going after the Jags, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, they took away the run game. That allowed them to just really put a lot of pressure on, and they were not having to blitz as much as they did last week against Jared Goff. They took advantage of that banged-up, offensive line that the Jaguars have. In theory, their offensive line could be better later than it is now, but they took advantage of them, and that was a very strong defensive performance. I don't care whatever I may think about Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars' offense, which is I'm probably one of their more harsh critics. Mm-hmm. But even that said, I mean, going into a building and having a playoff team and holding the 9 points is very impressive.
And you go back to the Lions, which also you can have whatever conversation you want about what that offense is now, will be, etc. But one of those touchdowns was a pick six. The other one, they got a fourth down stop, and then look, it was fourth and short, but a fake punt deep in the Lions' own territory started a drive they scored on again. The Chiefs have had one, fully blood on their own hands defensive touchdown allowed this year. One that was not impacted by another phase of the game, which today included holding strong after the Richie James muff.
Yeah, and that was, to me, a really impressive stand right there, getting that done. And honestly, I mean, Andy Reid had on a good point to me, and I know his point was about the entire team, but I think it applies to the defense. Gutting it out in those conditions today, I mean, that was tough. That Jacksonville is not an easy place to play. I mean, the heat index was around 100 degrees. That's not easy at all. And especially there were some periods there in the second half where the Jags, their game plan was to try and gas the Chiefs' defense. And they didn't give in. I mean, they dug in and they found it. And even though they had some guys banged up, I mean, Nick Bolton gets banged up in the game. Brian Cook gets banged up, comes back. I mean, that team was probably hurting and stretching for the tape a little bit. But they came through and gutted it out, and honestly, that's what good defenses do.
And that being able to say that about the Chiefs defense, just to say that's what good defenses do, and to mean this is a good defense, is a really cool and almost effortless place to be. I just think they are a good defense, which is really freeing for what they can do from here. With that being said, on the defensive side, where do you do the evaluation for the Chiefs offense as a whole? There's a lot of specifics. I want to talk about what you think's going on with Juwan Taylor and the area of emphasis this week and all of that in a second. But how do you evaluate an offense that has not looked comfortable these first 2 weeks, but did get Travis Kelce back today and still had their share of ups and downs?
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing to me about it is just that nobody looks real comfortable right now.
Yeah.
Even Patrick Mahomes doesn't look terribly comfortable right now. And I was talking to someone earlier. I mean, you said this was probably the quietest 300-yard game that Patrick Mahomes has ever had.
Stunned to look here right now and see 305. Completely missed that.
Yeah, I mean, and now granted, that 54-yard bomb to Sky Moore as time was running out, they were just running on the clock, and they get that busted play, helped pad the numbers. But, I today, some of the mistakes were certainly, put it back on the receiving core and put it on some of the guys individually. The turnovers were a problem. One of those turnovers you can absolutely put on Mahomes. He has to own that one, but Justin Watson owns one. They had some other issues with ball security. Richie James, getting blinded by the sun. Put that a little bit less on him. Other than, depending on when he lost the ball, I'm assuming it was pretty late because if you get hit by the ball, it's not like you lost it completely. If you lose it in the last split second, there's not a whole lot you can do. But, maybe just get out of the way earlier if you can. But, there were still some of those little things that were there. Was that the ball was wet, humidity? I don't know. It did look like that the guys were still pressing a bit. They clearly got the drops out of their way. They were making sure they made their catches. But then, once again, it seemed like guys were trying to score 8 points on every time they got the ball in their hands. Mm-hmm. And you just can't do that. You've got to be patient. You got to wait for your blocks. You've got to, set people up. You can't just, go 100 miles an hour the entire time. And that's kind of what it felt like they were doing. And even Mahomes, I think it felt like he was rushing the ball at times. And I don't think that he's been perfect the first 2 weeks. Still the best quarterback in the world, so we're really nitpicking here. Mm-hmm. But, there's no doubt. You look at what this team has done to the first 2 games, and this is not the offensive performance that we expect from this group. So is it just a matter of letting these new receivers settle in? Probably part of it. Is it at some point maybe saying there's too many mouths to feed and maybe we just need to thin the herd a little bit each week rather than having, 13 possible receivers be active every week? Maybe we dial it back a little bit and then build, focus on specific packages for specific players. Because right now, maybe some of that desperation from the offensive guys is coming from the fact that you never know when you're going to get fed next, and you're trying to do too much. And I don't know. Maybe it all is simply just a matter of chemistry and letting everybody get on the same page. But right now, I just feel like I'm seeing a lot of guys who are trying to make plays because they know that they only may be getting 2 or 3 touches a game.
I think that's really interesting, and only compounded when you also have to worry about feeding Donovan Smith. Great hands, just not great movement after the catch for him, perhaps on account of him knowing what happened was illegal. But the box score says 1 target, 1 reception, 0 yards for Donovan Smith. So I think he's got to carry that.
No drops.
No drops.
See? Exactly. There's some guys in the receiver room can't say that.
No, and I think you got to feed Donovan from here on out. With the pass catchers and with all of that in mind, Sky Moore's stat line, you don't want his stat line to be 3 for 70 and a touchdown. It's a good stat line, but it's not the vision the Chiefs have for him, right? If that's MVS's stat line every week, you'd be thrilled beyond words. Weirdly, they got him involved in some intermediate stuff early on, and Rashee Rice, you saw a couple of targets for him later in the game. A ton of feeding Kadarius Toney right out of the gate. He led the team in receptions with 5, but not a bunch of explosives there. What do you make of where the workload did land? Again, I think this idea of finding your rotation, maybe too many mouths to feed, is a fascinating solution or thing for the Chiefs to have to solve. But when you get some good and some bad from Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Kadarius Toney, Rashee Rice, and pretty much everybody except for Justin Ross, I don't know if I have any clarity on what the solution is, even as you just laid out what the solution needs to be, if that differentiation is fair.
Yeah, and it is interesting because I don't even know what the solution is. I mean, you're right. I thought that like a guy like Sky Moore, I mean, his performance today was good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that's what. I mean, if he did this every single week, he'd be at a 1,100-yard receiver.
Yeah.
51 catches. I mean, that's a little low. I mean, I thought that he would be a little bit more of a possession guy at this point. Somebody who his stat line might be more 6 catches for 60 yards rather than 3 for 70. But you know what? I think a lot of the balls that I think would normally go to Sky Moore are going to Kadarius Toney. I mean, even though I don't think they're quite the same players, I mean, I think some of the short stuff in space that might be Sky Moore type routes are going to Toney. And then you look at it and you're like, okay, well, 29 to 41 from Mahomes. Where did the ball go? Well, it went to everybody. Right. Now you had nine targets for Travis Kelce. That was clearly, back to normal. I mean, the ball was going to Kelce. If Mahomes could in any way justify the ball going to Travis, the ball was going there. But Travis was not having a Travis-like day, so you didn't get the production that you would normally get from Travis. Maybe we're feeling completely different from this if, instead of 4 catches on 9 targets for 26 yards, that Kelce had 7 catches on 9 targets for 78, and we're feeling completely different. But that's just, if Kelce isn't going to be himself, and, right now, there's no doubt he's playing hurt. He won't tell you that. Yeah. But he's clearly playing hurt. If that's the case, then you need to get some other guys going. And I don't know. If a guy like Sky Moore, I think you need to feed him and to get him going. And, 4 targets, I'm not sure is enough.
Yeah. It's just interesting. I don't mean to take a 370 and a touchdown day for Sky Moore and turn it into a negative, because especially after the week he had last week, I think that's unfair and unnecessary. But that in particular, just we can ID the problem some, but I don't know what my ideal Chiefs wide receiver workload pie chart would look like yet. And I'm guessing the Chiefs don't either, which is also, I guess, fair, because it is still some shuffling, but it's really interesting. Okay, let's talk about the O-line real quick, Matt. The penalties on Juwan Taylor. How much of this is the NFL doing the thing that it always does when there's a point of emphasis, which is really overcalling it for a week or two and then it recalibrating? How much of it is a real change he's going to have to make to his game? And what did you make of the day for Juwan Taylor today, including the couple of snaps he was pulled for?
Yeah, I thought that it was you definitely can overreact, and I think that the NFL is clearly overreacting, and especially probably to Juwan Taylor specifically. If they call the Juwan Taylor this type going forward, that kid's in a lot of trouble, because I think he got flagged for some stuff that he didn't do. And maybe they miscalled it. I was looking at the false start early in the second quarter, and if the official can tell me that he saw that as a clear false start, I'm going to tell him that he is lying, because it was I had to slow-mo the slow-mo before I could really see whether or not it was a false start. And I still think it's probably more than likely that he twitched at the exact same moment that Creed Humphrey body twitched. He knows the snap count. He goes at the exact same time that Creed Humphrey is. The problem is that sometimes Creed body moves before the ball does. But the moment Creed moves is when the snap really starts. And on that play in particular, it was bang bang about where Taylor was. But if the officials are going to call it that closely, and if they're going to go ahead and flag him anyway, if he's technically lined up in the backfield, maybe they'll call it a false start, even though they're thinking it was a collective penalty. But I also feel like Juwan maybe was a little bit victim of, wait a minute, we are supposed to watch this guy. Yeah. Doug Peterson wants us to watch this guy. The NFL wants us to watch this guy. So we're just going to watch him the entire play. Our eyes are starting to be fixated on him, so we're just going to keep him fixed. So I think that might have been part of it, was just that he was a marked man today. It should not be that hard going forward. But And it certainly seemed like maybe he just needed that. This was an emotional game for Juwan. There's no doubt about it. Not only was this where he played the last 4 years, but he played quite a few college games there. He had a ton of friends and family in for that game. He was a captain today. I mean, it was emotional for him. And so maybe he needed that. I mean, Andy Reid and Andy Heck clearly seemed to think that maybe he just needed to come over to the sideline, get a deep breath, get himself in check, because I thought he played better after that.
I think, and we talked about this some earlier, but I think that idea, I said this last week, that it's hard to watch 22 players on a field at every moment when you're a handful of older gentlemen or men of a certain age, as you may say, who are on the field at field level with your naked eye in real time trying to keep up with all of that. But if the talk all week has been watch Juwan Taylor, then I imagine there is a set of eyes on him every single snap this week in a way that's, like, again, frankly unreasonable and wasn't happening to Lane Johnson on Thursday night and won't be happening to maybe any other tackles in the sport, even this week when they've said they were emphasizing it for all 32 teams.
Yeah, I think that's only been the surprising thing, is that after they say they're going to emphasize it, and I haven't, and I don't know how all the games out today have played out, but I certainly with Lane Johnson the other night, we didn't see any changes as far as how he's officiated, and I haven't heard of anything else today. So maybe it was just a crackdown on Juwan Taylor. And if that's the case, hey, I mean, he can make the adjustment. I mean, getting yourself to line up differently is a little bit of a learning curve, and sometimes that can be just something that happens over time. You just every once in a while, you just move out a little bit more, and then suddenly you're lined up much deeper than maybe you used to be. And yeah, I know he lined up this way last year, so it's probably been a process for him. I mean, I don't think it's going to affect his game that much. Just once he gets it kind of out of his head, that's where I think it is right now. And having all these eyes on him, maybe this week will be the week that the NFL is just like, okay, see, we threw down our muscle, and we know he's correcting it, so let's back off. I mean, we'll see next week against the Bears, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be a long-term issue going forward. It shouldn't be.
We usually we do some previewing with you on Fridays in the Zone because you spend the hour with us at 11, and that's great. But you did mention that the Bears are up next, and I just wanted to ask you if you saw the story about the Fat Bear Week camera watchers who rescued the life of a distressed hiker as they were attempting to watch the Alaskan bears that we love so dearly.
I did hear about that. Yeah, that was pretty crazy, wasn't it?
It was nuts. The headline on the NPR story was, "They logged on to watch the famous fat brown bears. They saved a hiker's life instead." Here's the real key here. Around 3:30 p.m. local time on September 5th, a man in a green rain jacket, wet and disheveled, appeared on screen and looked straight into the lens, clearly mouthing the words, "Help me." He returned a few minutes later, giving a thumbs down signal. And then one of the viewers posted in the chat, in the stream, that there was someone distressed on camera. Chat moderator saw it, got to a park ranger, and they got a search and rescue team out there, found the man 3 hours later around that camera, and boom, Fat Bear Week saves a life.
See, I mean, that's what the Fat Bears do for you, man.
It is. Do you feel, and Matt, I'm going to ask for complete and perfect honesty, okay? I'm going to ask for complete and perfect honesty, and then we'll let you go. Are you a little jealous that this wasn't on a camera you were watching? Do you feel like this should have been you?
That I saved the guy, or that I was the guy?
No, that you should have been the one to spot a distressed hiker on camera and alert the authorities to save his life.
No, I'm gonna let it for the hardcores, because I mean, as much as I have become known for promoting the Fat Bear cams and and all that, and Fat Bear Week coming up next month, as much as I'm known for promoting our national parks and trying to help the bears and all of that, there are some hardcore, how shall we put this delicately, lunatics out there who really, really care about the cams and the bears and the whole thing. And they deserve all that glory. They deserve that. I'm just a watcher. They're the ones that make the engine go.
I think that's fair. An observer of the Fat Bears next week, an observer of the Chicago Bears. Matt, what's the plan for Chiefs Digest today?
Talking Chris Jones, talking Travis Kelce, and that's what else is there to talk about?
I don't know. You'll get the ball rolling somehow. I'm sure you'll find something else. ChiefsDigest.com for Matt's work. Follow him across socials at Matt Derrick. Matt, thank you very much. Look forward to chatting with you again on Friday when we can do a little more Bear talk.
Sounds great, Josh. Take care, my friend.
Just make sure you're aligned on sides, no early movements. Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. Again, he's across A10 all the time. He's more or less always on an airwave around here somewhere. But follow him across socials. Check out his great work at ChiefsDigest.com. All right, it's time to wrap things up because I want to send you over to some NFC action in a game that's been a barn burner, although right now the Niners are getting a little bit of a leg up. But the Niners and Rams will be next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Niners up by 10 right now in the early fourth quarter. Here's what I want to leave you with today. Maybe a couple things here quickly. One, once again, the Kansas City Chiefs did a thing today that I thought would happen eventually. But I didn't think it would happen this soon, and I didn't think it would happen against an offense this good. The Kansas City Chiefs defense won them this football game today. In part because, at least with how the math ultimately worked out, the offense was a touchdown better than they needed to be. And in fact, by getting to the goal line at the end of the game, if they needed to score there, and the Jags may have defended differently, but if they needed to score at the end of the game, they were in a position to do so. We saw the return of Travis Kelce. Yes, certainly hurt. Yes, certainly aggravated. But on the field, looking a lot like himself, if not perfectly like himself. We saw a running game that didn't do anything in the first half, got some juice in the second with Isaiah Pacheco. And as I said earlier, I'd rather have it this way than have the inverse. Because a version of the Kansas City Chiefs with a high-flying, gunslinging, shootout offense and a defense that's a wet paper bag, we've seen that before. We saw that in 2018. It's a hard way to win. A defense that can stand up against one of your conference's best and an offense captained by Patrick Mahomes, I trust Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Travis Kelce to get through some growing pains on the offensive side, with or without Travis Kelce's mustache. We'll talk about it a lot more the remainder of the week. We'll be back with you at the Zone, 10 o'clock tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy Niners-Rams, and I look forward to being here to talk about the Bears, fat and football next week. Until then, bye, Mom.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Sunday Night Football for Week 2 comes from New England when Bill Belichick's Patriots host the Dolphins, hoping to bounce back from an opening game loss. For Miami, Tua Tagovailoa looked impressive in a Week 1 win over the Chargers, throwing for 466 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ryan Ratke and Ross Tucker will have the call of the Dolphins at the Pats on Sunday Night Football.
Your home for Sunday Night Football, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks to the Xfinity